3I Atlas is an interstellar object that's currently passing through the solar system. It's received a lot of attention as possible alien technology. We already talked about this some months ago, but the more data we have of this object, the more unusual it has become. 3I Atlas was discovered on July 1st by the Atlas Survey Telescope in Chile. It's called 3I because it's got 3 eyes. Just checking if you're listening. It's called 3I because it's the third interstellar object we've ever seen. Astrophysicists think it doesn't come from within our solar system because they can calculate where it came from. It's clearly not a bound object in the solar system. It's also very unlikely to have come from the Oort cloud. That's a roughly spherical swarm of small icy objects that surrounds the solar system. On occasion, some object from the Oort cloud falls into the solar system, and sometimes that makes a comet. But objects from the Oort cloud have a very small initial velocity, and that doesn't fit to 3I Atlas. This is why astrophysicists are confident it really came from far away. But just what is it? Most astrophysicists think it's a comet that's a body mostly made of ice which starts evaporating as it gets closer to the sun, which then creates the characteristic comet tail. But if it's a comet, it's an odd comet. In a study that just appeared on the archive, astrophysicists report that 3A Atlas is shedding nickel and iron at a rate they call exceptional. It also emits carbon dioxide and water in a ratio that researchers have called unusual, and that, some say, would fit to being exhaust from a propulsion system. Yet another recent paper found that the object changes the polarization of light in a way that they call unprecedented among asteroids and comets. Yet another oddity is that despite still being far away from the sun, 3I Atlas has developed a tail that's pointing towards the sun rather than away from it. Astrophysicists have described this as not common and possibly observed for the first time. All this comes after 3I Atlas was found to be on an unusual trajectory, almost in the plane of our solar system, coming close to 3 planets, Mars, Jupiter, and Venus. It'll reach its closest approach to the sun on October 29th, pretty much on the opposite side of the sun as we are, and it's moving unusually fast. Some have argued that it doesn't seem to be tumbling around as much as one would expect, or that it seems to have some self-illumination, but these claims are really far out there, maybe somewhere in the Oort cloud. Still, even if we take only what we read in the astrophysics papers, this sounds suspicious, doesn't it? Unusual, unprecedented, exceptional, observed for the first time. How many oddities does it take for an object to warrant extra scrutiny? So what are we to make of this? Let's start with a question of how unusual the object actually is. For this, we have to ask unusual compared to what? This is only the third interstellar object we've ever seen. We don't have much to compare it to. Yes, it's the fastest of those 3, but so what? Why is it so close to the plane in which the planets lie? Quite possibly because if it wasn't, we wouldn't have seen it. Why does it get so close to these 3 planets? Let me ask you in return, if this was a deliberately chosen and designed orbit, why does it stay away from Earth, the one planet in the habitable zone? That doesn't make any sense. Maybe they're afraid of us and trying to hide? Well, they're not doing a good job at it, do they? That leaves the possibility that it's a piece of space junk. Personally, I think it's highly likely that there are other intelligent civilizations in our galaxy. They almost certainly have explorer missions, and more importantly, there must be lots of tech debris flying around in interstellar space. But a broken alien spaceship might just drift through our solar system is unlikely, but not impossible. I think it's a hypothesis we should seriously consider. Let me be clear, we have no evidence that 3I Atlas is alien technology. The most plausible explanation is that it's a comet different from those we've seen before. But I worry that astrophysicists may be too eager to dismiss the alien tech possibility. I worry about this because scientists tend to overstress type 2 errors and typically ignore the risk of type 1 errors. A type 2 error is when you have a hypothesis that's false but you don't reject it. Vaccines cause autism is a typical example. Scientists are all over these errors all the time. Whenever they say no, science has not shown this or that, they're coming after type 2 errors. Basically, they have a big hammer labeled insufficient evidence and they enjoy using it. A type 1 error, on the other hand, is when you have a hypothesis that's true and you erroneously reject it. Bacteria can cause stomach ulcers was an example of a type 1 error. These errors can persist in science for a long time because a hypothesis that's been rejected is one that doesn't attract attention among scientists anymore. They tend to not think about the consequences of failing to acknowledge a truth. So this is what I worry about when it comes to alien technology. Not looking at a piece of alien tech because we don't want our view to be right could be the single biggest mistake that our civilization can ever make. I don't think 3i Atlas is alien technology, but I think it's good that we're talking about it. If we ever actually observe alien tech in the science literature, it'll be called exceptional, unusual, and please see supplementary figure 7 where we panic quietly. Quantum mechanics, algorithms, statistics sounds scary, but don't let yourself be intimidated. Have a look at the courses on Brilliant because I found them to be great at breaking down complex ideas into interactive lessons that anyone can follow. All courses on Brilliant have interactive visualizations and come with follow-up questions. What you see here is from their newly updated maths courses. No matter how abstract the topic seems, Brilliant's courses have intuitive visualizations that really click into my brain. I found it to be a highly effective way to build up knowledge, and Brilliant covers a large variety of topics in science, computer science, and maths, from general scientific thinking to dedicated courses, just what I'm interested in. And of course, I have a special offer for viewers of this channel. If you use my link brilliant.org/Sabine or scan the QR code, you'll get 20% off the annual premium subscription. So go and check this out. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.
So only certain cars maybe can be modded, I'm not sure.
Hannibal is regarded, not without reason, as one of the giants of military history. The crafty Carthaginian was a true innovator whose use of deception, tactical flexibility, and psychological warfare was all well ahead of his time. In fact, Hannibal would only be defeated when a Roman commander of his caliber adopted many of the Carthaginians' innovations and applied them to the superior Roman war machine. But if Hannibal was so capable, it becomes natural to ask why, despite a decade of military dominance in Rome's Italian heartland, he was unable to defeat the Republic. Knowing that Rome would always have a manpower advantage, Hannibal had sought to deprive Rome of the Italian allies that formed half of its legions. He knew his enemy well, and knew just how exploitative the relationship was between Rome and its allies, causing him to believe that he would be greeted as a liberator across Italy. But, by and large, the Italians were unwilling to throw off the Roman yoke. At least, not yet. Here, as in so many other areas, Hannibal was simply too far ahead of his own time. The Italians would eventually revolt nearly a century after Hannibal's death. But it was not an uprising that any of them seemed to have wanted. Rather than resorting to violence, they had hoped to gain Roman civic rights and protections through conventional means, by repeatedly displaying their loyalty to Rome and by bravely serving alongside the legions. But centuries of faithful submission had brought many Italians no closer to true citizenship, something they had been actively campaigning for since at least the tragic tribunates of Gaius Gracchus and Fulvius Flaccus. The Roman populace had been dissuaded from extending citizenship when fear-mongering traditionalists told them it would mean an influx of Italian migrants that would take all the best seats in the theaters and at the games. Nativism, then as now, proved to be a useful screen for masking selfishness, perpetuating exploitation, and denying rights. For it should be obvious that Italians were after more than admission to the gladiatorial games. To them, citizenship would have represented full inclusion in the community to which they were already subject. They were bound by Roman law, but not protected by it. This was understandably intolerable in a civic culture that placed such an emphasis on libertas. Though the right to vote in Roman assemblies was certainly coveted, it must be noted that the franchise was likely not the most desired aspect of citizenship. Instead, Italians would have sought the protection of the law from capricious punishments and confiscation of property. They did not want to see their land allotted to Roman citizens with no recourse, or their sons marched off to a war for which they had no say. The Italians were always told that now is not the time, to keep waiting for the opportune moment, but were starting to run out of patience, and each betrayal stung all the more. Despite their loyalty, dysfunctional Roman politics had utterly failed them. After centuries under the Roman boot, and with the indignity of their second-class status becoming more of a burden as Italians were dispatched for long-term military service across the Mediterranean world on Rome's behalf, the Italians realized that the Republic, built on armed expansion, exploitation, and coercion, would only ever respect force. The question then is not why the Italians rebelled, but rather what took them so long. If you're enjoying this video, please do us a favor by liking, commenting, and subscribing. We're a small channel, and this is the only way to get the almighty YouTube algorithm to notice us. Furthermore, you can help Tribunet become more sustainable by becoming a member for as little as 99 cents a month. Thank you for all of your support. We are told by Appian that they could not bear to be considered subjects instead of equals, and, with the murder of the tribune Drusus, their most stalwart ally, in 91 BCE, the communities of Italy understood that politics offered no hope of liberation. They were putting down their plowshares and taking up swords. When the Italians learned of the murder of Drusus and of the reasons alleged for banishing the others, they considered it no longer tolerable that those who were laboring for their political advancement should suffer such outrages, and, as they saw no other means of acquiring citizenship, they decided to revolt from the Romans altogether, and to make war against them with might and main. They sent envoys secretly to each other, and formed a league, and exchanged hostages as a pledge of good faith. Like a wildfire, rebellion spread across Italy, evidence that some degree of prior coordination had taken place. Perhaps the conspiracy even dated back to 95 and the expulsion of all Italians from Rome. An event that we are told irked the Italian nobility in particular. In solidifying Roman rule, the Republic had always been careful to win over local elites. But in recent years, Roman arrogance had led to shocking incidents that saw the wealthy and distinguished members of these allied communities subject to the same arbitrary punishments and indignities as the common man. We are told by Gracchus of a particularly harrowing incident where an Italian dignitary was publicly stripped and beaten for not clearing the town's baths quickly enough so that a magistrate's wife could enjoy them in private. The offending Roman may have forgotten this abuse by the end of the day, but we can be sure that the humiliated Italian and his community would have held this slight close and let it fester into hatred. The message seemed clear. Even the noblest Italian was but a servant of the Republic, and he had no right to question its policies or his status within this arrangement. It is little wonder that so many found this intolerable. especially as the distinctions between the Italian nobility and their Roman counterparts were slowly being erased. However, even as the Italians rose in revolt, they did not shake off the Republic entirely. The rebels organized into a confederation that consciously mirrored Roman political institutions, selecting a senate of 500 leading men and naming 2 consuls and 12 praetors that would lead the war effort. Ironically, they were emulating the very political structure that had failed them. The long smoldering fires of an Italian war were now fanned into flame. All Italy took up arms against the Romans. The rebellion began with the people of Asculum, who had put to death the praetor Servilius and Fontius, his deputy. It was then taken up by the Marsi, and from them it made its ways into all the districts of Italy. The fortune of the Italians was as cruel as their cause was just, for they were seeking citizenship in the state whose power they were defending by their arms. Every year, and in every war, they were furnishing a double number of men, both of cavalry and of infantry, and yet were not admitted to the rights of citizens in the state, which, through their efforts, had reached so high a position that it could look down upon men of the same race and blood as foreigners and aliens.
I need to make some money to buy
The
my
high degree
property.
of coordination and
Killing drug
planning
dealers
that would have
takes
been
forever.
required to swiftly put this governmental structure in place and select
Got truck
Corfinium as the
lines.
capital for this alliance
What else
again
takes?
points to a long
I need to
brewing
look up
plot
what
against
pays.
Rome, and not a
My
mere
dealership is
escalation
paying.
after
That's
the
the only
death
thing
of
I've got.
Drusus.
It's only
The reformist tribune's
3,000.
assassination may have been the straw which finally broke the camel's back.
Can I make more
but
money
the
from the
Italians
motor
were
shop?
clearly
Can I make
planning
more money
something,
by stealing
a
cars? Where's my
fact
bliss?
which Drusus himself alluded to when he disclosed an apparent plot to assassinate the consuls.
No.
But, though a desire for citizenship is often presented as the chief cause of the social war, it is hard to imagine that the Italians would mobilize to this degree simply for citizenship alone, and it seems likely that some communities, particularly the Marsi and the Samnites, seem set on full independence. We are unfortunately limited in what we can know about the Italian motivations for the uprising, as our primary source is Appian, a Greek with Roman citizenship writing over 100 years after the conflict. Appian presents citizenship as the central focus, and indeed it may initially have been for many of the communities. But we err in thinking that because the Italians had a common enemy, that they must have had a common cause. Even though Rome was slowly knitting the peninsula together, the communities were still remarkably diverse, and many had their own local languages, customs, and religious traditions that marked them as separate not just from Rome, but from their Italian confederates. As later events would indicate, some of the Italians, even at this early stage, desired not to become Roman, but to fully sever their bonds with the Republic. But whatever the causes of the revolt, the inescapable truth is that this was the most devastating war Rome had seen in generations, and we are told that 300,000 deaths occurred as a result of the conflict. An exaggeration, perhaps, but one that is indicative of the bitterness and tenacity of the struggle. Civil wars are always fought with a particular savagery, and the relatively short social war would still prove even more devastating than the decades-long war with Hannibal, the last time an enemy had been able to penetrate Italy. The fighting was tough, in part because the Italian rebels were equipped in a manner more or less equivalent to the Roman legions, and led by commanders that were well-versed in Roman strategies and tactics. This led to a string of initial victories for the Italians, and indeed, the Romans soon found themselves on the back foot, with Consul Lucius Julius Caesar forced to offer civic concessions to those allies who had not yet rebelled in order to keep them in the fold. The narration of military movements and troop deployments has never been this channel's strong suit, and I will mostly avoid it here, except to say that the only Roman commanders of note to enjoy real and sustained success against the Italians were Marius to the north of the city and Sulla in the south. The two leading men of the Republic had put aside their fierce rivalry due to the outbreak of the war, and would break with one another before it entirely concluded. But for now, they were on the same side. A testimony to the fact that Romans of all political stripes were united in believing that the Republic had the authority to dominate its allies and subjects, and the alliance is indicative of why the Italians had been driven to such desperation in the first place. The Italian peninsula may not have been united, but Rome was, and despite the early Italian victories, the sheer inertia of the unyielding Roman war machine, as well as its superior logistical and military resources, eventually shifted the momentum decisively in the Republic's favor. But despite a willingness to pretend otherwise, military success is not what broke the heart of the revolt. Instead, the end of the war was accelerated through the intensely un-Roman act of compromise, chiefly a law passed in 89 which offered citizenship to any rebels who ceased hostilities within 60 days, and reaffirmed their allegiance to the Republic. This gradually weakened support for the rebellion, but the conflict persisted until 87, as certain communities, such as the Samnites, relished their newfound independence and decided to seek liberty or death. The Republic was only too happy to oblige. The eradication of these isolated holdouts allowed for Rome to save face and declare victory in a war that had largely not been won by the might of the legions, but rather by acceding to the demands of its foes. It is for this reason that the social war is often called the unnecessary war, as historians bemoan that it could have been avoided by granting the citizenship rights and protections to which the Italians were certainly entitled. There is merit to this view, but I also believe that speaking of the social war as unnecessary is only possible when one buys into the framing of the Republic and its leaders as the narrators of history, as the only ones with an agenda, and the only actors with a right to forge their own destiny. It also elides the stubbornness of the Roman aristocrats by presenting it as a regrettable, short-sighted lapse in judgment, a mistake that was only possible because they were not thinking logically. In reality, however, they were operating in a manner that was consistent with the Roman worldview, that underscored their right to unflinchingly dictate terms to the conquered. It was an application of the Vivictus ideology that had built the Republic's empire, not a mere accident of bull-headed patricians unable to see the larger picture. This is not to say that they were acting rationally, or that causing the war was not a strategic blunder, but it is to say that they were acting as Romans. Viewing things from this perspective is a reminder that the war was not unnecessary for the Italians. Rather, it is a stinging indictment of their brutal exploitation and centuries of suffering that they elected to rise and defend their own dignity through arms when politics had failed. The men who led the revolt had all served alongside the legions. They knew exactly what Rome did to those it conquered, had seen firsthand the violence and humiliation Rome visited upon its foes. They certainly understood that as traitors and oathbreakers, they could expect far worse than the foreign enemies that they had helped subdue. That so many were willing to risk this underscores the war's necessity for the Italians. Their victory was their vindication. The Roman elite, who had made peaceful change impossible, had made violent change inevitable, and the Republic would be forever altered by the reshaping of the political order that resulted from the Italians winning citizenship through armed force and not peaceful political means. A new precedent had been set. Describing the impact of the war, Appian wrote, "It began unexpectedly, grew rapidly to great proportions, and extinguished the Roman sedition for a long time by a new terror. When it was ended, It also gave rise to new seditions under more powerful leaders, who did not work by introducing new laws or by the tricks of the demagogue, but by matching whole armies against
Why
each
is
other.
the camera drifting, dude?
The most successful Roman general of the war had been Sulla, and he was able to use his victories as a springboard to the consulship. But as his struggle with his political rival Marius resumed, Sulla observed the concessions that the Italians had won through war, and came to believe that swords solved arguments more effectively than speeches. So, when he was politically outmaneuvered by the Marian faction, Sulla decided that he would use the army at his command to march on Rome and settle the issue. If the argument of the rebels in the social war had been that there was no difference between Roman and Italian, then Sulla took this to heart and decided that the legions would prove just as effective at quashing Romans who demanded rights as they had his Italian military foes. Sulla was marching on Rome with an army at his back. The cautionary tale of Coriolanus made real. An era of unprecedented crisis was beginning, and the Republic would not survive.
I want to make a good game. That's a message that was sent from DICE's combat experience producer over to their principal game designer several years ago. And with Battlefield 6's release, it seems they have in fact made a great game. It's not a perfect one, but when we break down what worked versus what didn't, we can see how this team has achieved a stunning turnaround from 2042, which had a launch Steam score that looks like this, to the current Steam score, which could not be more different. Okay, here's the story you need to know. Battlefield 2042 was obviously a disaster at launch. Now, that team probably wanted to make a good game as well. So here's the thing. They never really got a chance to make a good game. And here's the story of why. They allegedly had just 15 months of development time, and they needed at least 6 more months. That's because the game went through multiple entire redesigns, from being a battle royale to an extraction shooter to a classic Battlefield game. Meanwhile, engine rebuilds kept resetting their progress, and staff attrition just, well, matched the chaos of the development environment. Basically, all odds were stacked against them. And what happened is that after that disastrous launch, EA hit the reset button. Senior leadership, they were replaced at almost every level, and most important was Respawn Entertainment's Vince Zampella, because he got control of the whole franchise. Now, he's the man credited with making Call of Duty an utter powerhouse, and that stuff went down December 2021. After that, a humongous undertaking followed. Essentially, the 2042 team spent 4 years rebuilding that game into something better, and at the same time, EA then built up Battlefield Studios, which, I need to say, has not gone perfectly. There are some pretty spicy allegations we'll get into later in this video, but if the test of this overall group's work is Battlefield 6, well, good news is that they have succeeded. Here's something fun to give you a taste of their success. Analytica Analytics are an analytics firm, and they reported that the teams achieved 3.5 million Steam wishlists and 1.8 million pre-orders. That's a lot. That's $100 million in revenue alone. And on launch, audiences had high expectations. EA did as well. After all, the beta was a massive success. It basically showed people a well-performing shooter, shocking enough in itself, that kind of echoed the best bits of Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. And now that we're a few days after launch, we know that those high expectations have been met. Steam concurrent player count spiked at nearly 750,000 people. That's the 14th highest of all time, and as a lifelong Battlefield fan, yeah, feels pretty good. Server queues reached over 500,000 players at some points, but overall, things went incredibly smoothly. Minimal bugs, though there are bugs, looking at you campaign, but overall quite good. Not least because the one worst bug that happened wasn't really Battlefield Studios' fault, but it is one worth talking about because of how Electronic Arts and Vince Zampella reacted to it, and that is the story of the EA app. They really didn't put its best foot forward. Essentially, on PC, it had an error on release. Now, because the game lets you install each part separately, the store then had to go and verify ownership at launch. And that ended up taking hours. It's insane that this was a problem, and it turns out that Vince Zampella, well, kind of went to the Randy Pitchford school of customer support. Just, kind of did a better job of it. He told at least one commenter to just refund the game on the EA app and just buy it in Steam. That's not ideal for your pre-order bonuses, but it's at least quite funny. But you know what's even more telling, right? It's the corporate response. Because within 8 hours of launch, they fixed that problem, and anyone impacted got 24 consumable XP boosts to make up their time, plus a full free season of the Battle Pass. That's pretty damn good. Now, the speed of the fix is one thing, but the speed of the make good is another here, and it does bear well on. What we can tell from both is that EA absolutely wants to make people happy. As we've covered in this channel before, EA really, really needed to make sure everyone was happy. There's quite a lot hanging over this game. So, let's talk about what worked out and what very much didn't work out. Well, on the bright side of things, we've got an 84% critic average and a 92% recommendation over an open critic. That's basically brilliant. Now, some critics have got concerns over how safe the game is and how it's not really adding a lot new to the franchise, but, as somebody who didn't really want what they added to the franchise before, I think I'm happy enough. And what we overall see is multiplayer sticking the landing. It's obviously what we want the most from Battlefield. The teamwork, the objective play, gadgets, kits, basically all work for Combined Arms gameplay. Personally, I'm having an absolute blast. The sound design is still some of the best in the industry, and there's just a boots in the ground aesthetic that I think most people are on board for. Now, there are some critiques though. These critiques are around lessons learned from Call of Duty. And by lessons, I mean maps, UI, and progression. But those problems aren't really enough to sour the experience. Overall, it's great, and it seems that all of that EA Labs testing actually paid off. I guess a little similar to what's happened with Skate. Now, there's a slight discrepancy between critic reviews and Steam user reviews, as is the tradition. The English reviews are 82% positive, but if you flip it over to all languages, it's 76%. If you hop over to Steam Scout, well, you find out why. 50% positive reviews in Chinese, 64% in Russian. So for some reason, the Chinese and the Russians are not particularly happy, and it turns out that's basically because of localization. There are no Russian language options at all, and apparently the Chinese localization just blows. But what may be more important here is the Chinese reviews only make up 18% of the total, while English ones are 50%. That's quite the split. And it's one that exists in spite of a massive marketing campaign in China, so it seems that audience hasn't really shown up for this one in the way that they have for other games this year. But then there's the elephant in the room. There's the thing that personally I think kind of blows, and that's the single-player campaign. It's widely disliked, and you know what? There's a lot of reasons why, and there's a story behind its development that you actually may not know. So, this stuff actually does matter. And the reason why is because despite there are, perceptions of nobody giving a shit about a campaign for Battlefield, and by the way, I'd count myself as someone who really thinks Battlefield shouldn't be bothering with those, an EA survey of beta players saw 30% of people excited about the return of the campaign. I don't think they'll be excited by what they got, because what they got is a set of levels that are loosely themed around assets from multiplayer maps that lurch you around from set piece to set piece with this strange wraparound cutscene based narrative that's basically just designed to set up the eventual battle royale that we're 99.9% sure will be dropping very soon. And it's weird. The dialogue and the narrative especially feel like they are from the worst of military pulp novels. It's quite something, and the best way we could capture it here is to say that the vibe is basically that it seems like this was the first or the second draft of the campaign, and they basically had to go and make it. And that actually backs up Ars Technica's reporting. And this is where things get really interesting. So according to them, this campaign was freshly started in February 2024. And that's because Ridgeline Studios was shuttered. So it got shut down, and then 3 other studios picked up the work. And at that point, campaign development restarted. That then led to 19 months of working from scratch, whilst of course delivering the rest of the game, and they apparently still failed to hit the alpha mark by late spring 2025. And to give an idea of what that means, right? Generally speaking, an alpha would mean you've got all your features and your tech done, but maybe not all of your content. A beta would generally be all your features are there, all your content is in. So the fact that they still were not at the alpha mark in late spring of this year is, kind of insane, but after completing the campaign, completely unsurprising. You can see some missions like the one set in New York that actually do feel planned, and like they actually got the time and the love that they deserved. And then a lot of the other missions just fall completely flat. They really do feel like there's a map, we've put some dudes in the map and a few objectives, and that's basically it. But what's important is what we learn from this campaign, because more than anything else, it highlights the cost and the risk of making complete, utter mega games like this one. So, let's dive into the cost. In case you're unaware, Battlefield Studios is a whole bunch of studios. It combines veteran franchise developers like DICE, Criterion, Ripple Effect, and then EA Motive, who contributed a team towards the campaign whilst also working on their Iron Man game. Now, Ridgeline. Ridgeline was the single-player studio, and it was led by Halo co-creator Marcus Leto. It was shuttered in 2024, and according to the Ars Technica report I mentioned earlier, they were asked to make a campaign whilst also building the studio with fairly little oversight to protect them and just give them the stuff that they needed. So in total, Battlefield 6 was made by 5 studios and a whole support network's worth of staff. A shitload of people, and apparently it was not easy. Staff flagged to Ars Technica that stage gates were passed with prototypes and plans that really shouldn't have been. And just to kind of make that less industry lingo, essentially milestones, right? Like development milestones. Essentially, it seems that they were passed even when really they shouldn't have been passed, because basically there was a lot of shit to get done and the game had to move forwards. Apparently long hours were needed to manage the time zone commitments because this was a distributed team across loads of studios in loads of countries. This then led to a lot of burnout. A lot of their processes were hit hard. Some staff actually needed 2 weeks of leave to recover. Others needed 9 months, which I guess is understandable if you think about people maybe crunching for the entire development of 2042 and then crunching for a bunch of the development of this game. You would be kind of ran ragged. Anyway, this was also a project that still was delayed internally. So this is a game that was not pushed out the door. It was in fact delayed as compared to their initial plan. It certainly tells us that EA's initial plan probably would have, well, kind of killed Battlefield. It's very much not the timeline we're in now. I think it's also a good reminder that crunch and bad treatment of staff doesn't necessarily make bad games, right? That's a trap that we can fairly easily fall into talking about. Because sometimes the devs do want to make a good game, and they do make a good game. It's just real costly to them as people. And I guess the only saving grace is, well, that if Battlefield 6 succeeds in this very different and pretty difficult context of its development, and if it sells well and it reaches the goals of EA's old leadership, then perhaps the new incoming owners, there's a whole video about that story on the channel, well, maybe they may not see an immediate need for layoffs and efficiency hunting. But the cost does appear to have been significant here, on a personal level, but also on a structural level. As an example, EA Motive might escape with only half of their studio being absorbed into Battlefield Studios, but Criterion probably won't. And if you're the sort of person who loved what Criterion used to make, Need for Speed, WRC, like the rallying game, yeah, you're probably not going to get that, because now Criterion has been consumed by Battlefield. But at least from the perspective of a Battlefield player, well, consumed by the need to build a live service that can actually sustain the machine that has built it. Because make no mistake, it is a huge machine, all of these studios. It's a shitload of money. And speaking as someone who was there for a lot of Battlefield 5, what you'd really be afraid of is that the game comes out and then it just trips and falls over. Content cadence just is not where it needs to be. At least from what I can tell thus far, it doesn't seem we're in for a repeat of that. Here's what we know about the live service. October 28th sees the beginning of the first season of this game. It'll bring a new map, new vehicles, new weapons, and a new mode. Now, a month later, there is going to be another similarly sized patch, and then the December update is going to bring in a reskin and a seasonal mode. You get all that alongside the Battlefield Pass, which of course will then be kicking off 3-month cycles of content. Now there's also the eventual release of the Battle Royale mode. It's actually being tested in Battlefield Labs right now, and at least if the rumors are to be believed, this will be a free-to-play companion for the main paid multiplayer game. So essentially following the Call of Duty model, which does make a lot of sense, because let's be real, Call of Duty has never looked weaker, and if I was in Activision shoes, I'd be a little bit worried. I think Battlefield can genuinely do a little bit of damage to it here, and next year there's going to be this big thing in the market called Grand Theft Auto 6, which will be eating up loads of consumer money, consumer money that, Activision will have to fight for, alongside a Battlefield that is far more competitive, maybe more competitive than it's ever been before. And if things really go well for EA, they'll have one thing that Call of Duty very much doesn't have, and that is Portal. So, Battlefield 6's Portal system was up and running even before the launch with user-generated modes, there's maps, there's server experiences, there's so much cool stuff, guys. We saw Call of Duty's shipment map be built 2 hours before the game launched. There's throwbacks to games like SOCOM, it is SOCOM, third-person camera. There's even a full zombies mode. I've seen people use the UI tools to make Space Invaders and Snake. There's so much cool stuff. Now, of course, it's early. There are some teething problems with capacity of new servers, and there's XP farm issues. A lot of people are just, spending a lot of time killing bots to rank up their weapons. Because one thing is for sure, my god, the XP rates for unlocking all the stuff for your weapons are pretty damn slow in this game. Maybe that's something we'll see them address. But the big thing to watch out for is the success, or lack of success, that is found by Battlefield Portal content. Of course, if you go and take a look at, say, what's going on in Roblox, where, there's just these Roblox game modes that get basically like tens of millions of plays, absolutely ginormous in scale. So many companies want similar user-generated content dynamics to be present in their games. Obviously, EA wants that. They talk about it a lot in like their quarterly earnings reports and such. So if they can get that, then, well, all of that Battlefield Studios development work will be supplemented by the community, and whenever you bring one of your operators into a Portal mode, it can be with whatever cosmetics, microtransaction things that they try to sell you for the main game. Ultimately, though, my main takeaway is just how good I think this is for the industry. Call of Duty has not had serious competition in a long-ass time. And being real with you, I don't expect that Battlefield will suddenly eclipse COD. It may well do for some, sub-segments of audiences. Call of Duty truly is ginormous, and, look, for lack of a better word, it gets out there to the normies more than Battlefield ever has. But with proper competition, those COD players should actually also get a better game. And these companies, whenever they've got to spend more money on R&D to compete with each other, well, maybe they end up making better games. Maybe they begin to feel like they can't just go into farm the cash cow mode, because if they do, well, the competitors will be out to get them. As for the developers, well, they've worked incredibly hard to make a brilliant game and release, and their reward is to keep on making that game for better or for worse. We'll have to see how it goes. I actually do wish this game the best. To be selfish, it's nice to see one of my favorite franchises actually doing well. Okay, that's it for me, but if you want to understand who actually owns Electronic Arts now and the crazy shenanigans behind that, watch this video next.
All right, the party's arrived.
What's going on, everybody? Hi, welcome to the program.
Feel like I'm on the
times
beach.
I clear my throat before the
in
show
Hawaii.
begins.
At
Here
a
we are.
barbecue.
The Jeff Gerstmann Show is here, live on the internet. Unless you're listening later, in which case it's it's live somewhere. Emanating through space for all of eternity, like all broadcasts. No, I guess the internet is not really. Well, Wi-Fi signals go into space forever. Is that still technically accurate? Like, oh, TV signals beam into space forever and ever and ever. I don't know how any of that stuff works. Hi, we're here, and it is the middle of video games season, and it has started raining outside, which I feel like is a solid. It's only going to rain today because it's Southern California. So, but it's we go from hey, it's like 90 degrees, 85 degrees, hot, unpleasantly so in a lot of cases, to all of a sudden, okay, you're gonna get now there's a flood watch on for your area. So I've been dealing with a flood watch. There's nothing to deal with. I make it sound like I'm out here with a helmet on. Go get the sandbags! Get these sandbags up! What are we doing? No, I'm not. I do have some sandbags in case things get a little out of control. Which I was thinking, kind of as things start to maybe move out to the garage to kind of eventually relocate this operation. Sometimes water does get under that garage door. I was like, I guess I need to make sure that garage door is sealed to ensure that, now if I'm going to put computers on the floor, I don't want water on the floor as well. That's a bad mix, it turns out. Unless you're into those weird, I would love to get, my computer is loud.
What's up, girl?
Less loud now that I've lowered it under the desk instead of having it, right behind me. But the, those computers that are where everything is immersed in some kind of creepy liquid, where they're like, it's a non-conducive fluid and you can just submerge your entire computer in it. I'm like, that sounds so cool to just have a weird water computer. I mean, we got water coolers and all that other stuff, but I don't know. There's something about suspending my computer in some kind of strange oil, some kind of weird tank, some sort of sensory deprivation experiment for computers. That always seems kind of cool, but everyone says that when you do that, it actually is super bad for the components, and it's like it's really neat, but only lunatics need to do it, and all of that. So it's not actually the cool. It's not actually as cool as it initially seems because you're dealing with a bunch of other stuff, but I have been thinking more about fan curves and noise out of the computer and all of that stuff. Fan control, which is the piece of software that a lot of people use to control the fans on their computer and have them automatically spin up when things get hot. And like if you want more control over it than your BIOS does already, you can get in there and mess with it. But they've gone through like the last couple of months, like the driver that they use, much like a lot of modern video games. The driver that they were using to pull the sensor information from temperatures and all of that stuff, Windows has decided to start flagging it as
dangerous,
unsafe. With its kind of antivirus kind of, it's not necessarily a virus, but it is like a Ring 0 driver. So it's sort of one of those things where if that access got compromised, then you would have a bunch of you would have a bunch of bad access to the computer. And so the people at Fan Control, the person at Fan Control, has had to completely redesign a lot of that stuff to use different types of drivers and different methods to kind of pull that sensor data. And that has been a bumpy ride for me over here, where that stuff is just basically completely not worked to sometimes working, and then will die after a couple of hours, and I have to reboot to get the sensors back, and just a lot of crazy stuff around fan information. But it's right now, over the last couple of days here, the last version or two seems to have stabilized that. So hopefully our long national nightmare of fan control is over. All for this computer to be quieter. The reason I wanted to do it in the first place, this computer, by default, if I'm not running any kind of fan control software, the minute I start a download, especially from Steam, because the Steam downloads are fast, I guess, every single fan spins up. The entire case goes 100% as soon as you start downloading anything. And I was like, that's ridiculous. There's no way that starting this download is immediately redlining these components, or, it is certainly generating heat. All this data is hot. This hot data that I'm acquiring. But that's stupid. And so, making some changes to the ways the fans spin up has been good for my sanity and good for the people who occasionally sleep in this room, which has been nice.
Warm it up, Kane. Warm it up, CJ. Warm it up, Kane. It's such a disgusting pig. Who cheats on me?
quiet, finally. Okay.
Idiot! Do you realize how much those machines cost? We're supposed to be opening it. What the fuck was that?
That's not funny, man.
Hello? Hello? What the fuck is wrong with you people?
Boss, CJ's here.
Carl, glad you can make it.
So, this what you've been doing?
Yeah, it's been a complete nightmare. You want a stomach ulcer? Try opening a triad casino in a mafia-run town.
The mob trying to squeeze you?
Yeah, the corporations are moving in and everybody's feeling the squeeze. I've had slot machines busted up, workmen being scared off.
So who behind this?
Huh? Well, there are these 3 mob families operating here, and each of them has a stake in Caligula's casino. And some whacked-out lawyer's running it for them. You could be any one of them, or all of them.
Can't you just give them a little something?
No. In addition to the usual authorities that need bribing, each one would want a slice. And I'm not about to hand over all our profits to some wise guy Italians.
Our profit?
That's right, you heard me. I want to offer you a share in our casino. In exchange for some help setting it up. How's that sound, partner?
Sound like we got a deal then.
Boss, the boys found some thugs trying to smash one of the deliveries. We caught one of them.
Get rid of him.
Hey, wait, hold up, come here. Whoever's behind this, we need to let them know that they dealing with full-fledged psychos. Tie him to the front of the car, let him sweat it out a little, and I'll be out there in a little while. See if we can make this guy squeal.
That's my Carl.
Hey, who the fuck? Who are you? Untie me, huh?
You know what? I think we're gonna take a little drive.
What are you, fucking stupid? I'm not joking here. Untie me, motherfucker.
Nah, I think I'm gonna leave you right where you are.
You got any idea in that pea-brain head of yours who the fuck I am?
Nah, but I think I'm gonna find out. You hit me, asshole!
Boy, this stupid... Somebody! Anybody! Help! Oh, slow down! Slow down, for God's sake! Oh, man, this is too fast! Oh, slow down! Slow down, for God's sake! Oh, man, this is too fast! Oh, slow down! Slow down, for God's sake! Oh, man, this is too fast! Oh, Mother Mary, you've had enough! Oh, God! Oh, my God! Oh, my God! Hey, wait, what you doing? Jesus Christ, that was close! Hey, fuck you! Fuck you! Hey, wait, what you doing? Ah, this shit don't scare me, asshole! Somebody! Anybody! Help!
Asshole!
Oh my God! Oh my God! The family will make you pay for this!
Which family?
The Sindaco family, you idiot!
That's all I wanted to hear.
What? Oh shit!
Nuh-uh. I don't know. You just went through that car, dude.
My whip, fool!
Dude, oh god, I'm fucking gonna break my computer keyboard.
What's the news, Slugger? I love the sun.
Get away from me!
I've had to. I made some changes here in this room because I have like a. You can't really see it super well behind me if you're watching the video version. I've got a television behind me that is on like a glass entertainment center, and I've had this thing for years and years, and it's it's tempered glass, all that other stuff, and the TV sits on it. It's got a shelf in the middle that I can put a PlayStation 5 on, and it's fine. The baby, who she is now 2. I had my other computer. So I have my computer here that I'm using for this broadcast and all this other stuff. I had another computer wired up to a capture card for kind of dual PC streaming type stuff. That computer was laying on its side on the bottom shelf of this thing, and it stuck out a little bit. And since it stuck out a little bit, the baby could climb on top of it and use it to get up on top of this glass thing and stand there and slap the TV and stand there and go hot, ooh, hot, as she slapped the TV. And I don't like it when she's standing on the glass thing. It doesn't seem like a good idea. It doesn't seem like a good, safe idea. So I'm like, okay, I've got to move all this stuff. So I'm in the process of kind of starting to move things out to the garage and all this other stuff. Anyway, so I took that computer out of there and moved it over here. It's all on the floor, not on the rug because you need to have airflow and all this other stuff. Took the computer out, moved it up there, naturally, while doing any kind of like recabling, rewiring, moving things around work, I did cut myself open and bleeded out of my shin for a while. It was a good time. But I got everything rigged up again and I was like, okay, perfect, great, this is awesome. And then the next day she comes downstairs and she's hanging out here and she's and she immediately climbs on top of the thing again without the computer there. Which is supposed to be the middle shelf doesn't stick out as much, so you're not supposed to be able to climb up it. They built it with that in mind. But she's scary, man. She's a climber. She's pretty good on her feet. She's only fallen a couple of times. And never fallen off of that thing in particular. But she is a daredevil. And is always trying to climb up stuff and jump on the couch and do all the stuff that's just like, oh God, don't do that. Oh geez, don't do that. And she has 2 other kids in the house that are, even more rambunctious, and so she's learning everything from them. And so it's wild. So yeah, I don't know. So I had to take the TV and pull it forward on the glass so that there's no room left for her to get up there. And she's very sad about it. And now I feel bad. There's no winning here. There's no like, haha, I've kept this child safer than she was before. And now everyone is happy because now she is like trying to do it and screaming about it because she really wants to get up on top of the thing. And I can't blame her. It's super fun. She loves doing it. It's enjoyable. There's no winning, as it turns out. None whatsoever. But other than that, I don't know. Things on the home front have been pretty much as they've been. My son asks me every day about when the new Katamari game is coming out, and I'm telling him it's like 10 days away, man. It's under 2 weeks now. It's coming real soon. I have an email out to people to maybe get it earlier than that so we can take a look at it. But bare minimum will it'll be It'll be like 10 days out. He's like, so tomorrow? I'm like, no, dude, no. That is not how any of this time works. But it's interesting, you know, like the learning and man, it's he is so obsessed with it, and it's awesome. But also, he is so obsessed with it. It is like the minute this door opens, when I'm done with this stream.
I did not.
And
I don't
he's
remember
got
this
it down
part.
to a goddamn science. The minute I'm done with this podcast and I open the door to this office and I walk
I don't
out,
remember this shit.
he will be home from school by then. He will run up to me and he will say, "Daddy, I love you, Daddy. Can I play Katamari?" Like, it's just like boom, boom. Like the time to can I play Katamari is like so short. It is like 5 seconds or less. Whatever. And it's funny to watch. It's funny to watch him think he's like getting one over on like he's like, "Oh no, I know." And like he'll lay here on the floor and play, and I'll be over here, you know, typing or, you know, processing videos or whatever. And he would just lay there and say, "I love you, Daddy. It's so relaxing," which is very funny. But it's all he wants to do. It's too much. It is finding myself in this position as a parent is, I mean, of course it was always going to be this way.
Excuse me.
Of course, like I did it to myself. But there is something about the idea of me having to now tell a child you're playing too much of that goddamn.
Too many video games. Yep.
It's like, oh shit. Like the words are coming out of my mouth and I don't fucking believe it. It's just like, no, dude, like just keep. No, you're doing it, man. I don't know, but like he's you know, he's all because he wants to be big enough to win. Like he's great at the game now. He's gotten so good at it. He's beating every level. We have all the trophies in it. All this stuff, and you know, he's just playing the same levels over and over again, which is maniacal. But you know, whatever. It is. Yeah, it is fascinating to be on the side of it, of just like, yeah, you need more balance in your life. You need something, man. You need something other than this. Go out, fucking go outside, goddammit.
Yep, go outside.
But you know, he is getting firmer with numbers and counting and stuff. Like he's in. Well, we thought that he was going to be in kindergarten next year, but it turns out he was born on the other side of a deadline, and so unless something changes or we move to a different district or, you know, something else happens, but like we thought that next fall he would be going into kindergarten, but he won't be old enough by like a month. And so right now he's in like a preschool program
This is my boss's car, homie.
that my daughter went through before she went to go start kindergarten. And it turns out he's going to have one more year to kind of spin his wheels. And I'm kind of bummed because like we're finding that like all of the options are bad. All of the options to send him to, like we're having trouble finding something for him that is like learning based, and like all of these programs and all this like pre-kindergarten TK, you know, like all the stuff is like, it's all just like, hey, we're gonna let these kids play. Like that's cool. Yeah, you need some of that. But like when my daughter went to this same preschool, which is since like the staff has completely turned over, like she was writing every day and she was learning and she was writing her name and she was doing like all this stuff all the time.
Letters, numbers. Yep.
And so like just like figuring out
coloring,
get this kid ready for school, and I think he'll be fine no matter how it ends up going. It's been a little weird, and so like I'm taking it where I can get it, because you know he's going to this preschool, and you know they're just like, I don't know, coloring stuff and not really doing much of anything. And then so I'm having to like try to teach him numbers through Katamari, and you know, like his counting is getting better all the time, and he's counting to higher and higher numbers, and he's always asking me, because he does the level he does over and over again is you're instead of a Katamari, it's a sumo wrestler, and you're rolling the sumo wrestler around, and he needs to eat food in order to get bigger than the other sumo. There's a sumo wrestler standing in the world, and you need to go crash into him. And that level ends when you hit him no matter what. You just need to be bigger than a certain number to win the fight. And then there's an even bigger secret number that lets you roll the other guy up instead of just bashing him off the platform. And my son calls that getting him for real life, quote unquote.
Okay, let's move. And
he wants to get him for real life over and over again. So he needs to be 350 kilograms to do that. For 345, it's like somewhere around 350 to get him for real life. And so he's playing this level, and he asked me, how big am I now? How big am I now? I was like, well, okay, pause it. This number's 1. What's this? What's this? And he's like, 104, okay? And so I'm trying to kind of work some kind of numbers stuff into this. It's very thin. But between that and watching videos of the upcoming new Katamari game, he's, yeah. I don't know. Him and his older sister were playing the Balloon game the other day, so and it was nice to see him take a break from Katamari for once. But that's like all he's telling kids about it at school, and I'm telling him like, buddy, none of these kids have played this game. None of these kids have played Katamari. I can guarantee that there are no other kids at your school that are playing the Katamari game. If they're playing any video games at all, I can guarantee you no one has heard of it. He's like, okay, I'll tell them about it. And he's got his rap down. Like he can explain it really well, like what the game is, and you roll people up and get big and do this. And, like he's he really cares about it. He cares about all the cousins. He knows all their names. He knows all the levels, all this other stuff. Like it continues to be incredibly fascinating to like watch him like really dig into this. And so I bought him the original one because what he has been playing is the remake of We Love Katamari, which is the second game in the series. But they also remade the first game. So I picked that one up on PlayStation as well because that's where he's been playing. And he will load that up and he will play a couple levels of that sometimes too. But the first one doesn't do it for him. I think because you can only play as the prince. You can't play as the cousins. You can only like look at them. And they just kind of hang out on a mushroom and you know as you do. And so he's not enjoying the first game as much. But I think the new one, I as someone who has watched the pirate ship level from the new Katamari be played, there was there's some hands-on videos came out of Tokyo Game Show. And so I have seen this like there's two videos on YouTube of people playing through it. There's a 7-minute video and a 10-minute video. We have watched those videos, I don't even know how many times. More than I have watched a gameplay video of a video game. Any other unreleased video game. So, but also we're watching it, and there's a ton of nuance in it. There's like, okay, well, now there's power-ups, which are not in We Love Katamari. I know some of the later games, the Vita game in particular, they tried to do some stuff where you're like stretching the ball out and everything else. So there's a magnet power-up. There's a stopwatch that freezes time, and so I'm like looking at this stuff, and like we're picking it apart, and he's going like, I think time stopped. And I'm like, dude, you're 4. Stop writing a preview of this game. But it's kind of awesome. He's kind of writing a preview of this game. Yeah, it's been really interesting watching him watch the new one and trying to explain to him like, okay, well, this one, when you get to the size where you win the level, that gives you a D ranking. Because now it'll display the kind of upgraded sizes on the screen as you go, and so there's an S rank for and I have not broached the subject of why the letter S, why would they go from school grades? Like I don't think he would know what school grades are at this point. But walking it through it with him and looking at the video and like because there's stuff the new Katamari game again. Coming off of We Love Katamari, the remake of it, the new Katamari game is doing some shit. Like it's the levels happen in phases. Like this pirate ship is getting dragged down underwater by a giant squid. Like shit is happening, man. It's kind of fucking. I'm looking at it going, yes, this is, well, whatever. As someone who was there at TGS when they first showed the first game, and fell in love with it there. It's kind of cool to kind of return to it after, like, I don't know, like the last few games just feel like they haven't, like Beautiful Katamari and some of the other, not that there's been a zillion of them, but like that Vita game didn't really do anything for me. There's a phone, there's an iOS, there's an Apple Arcade Katamari game that I don't have an Apple Arcade subscription anymore, but I have at one point and just didn't want to even show it to him because then he'll just be demanding my phone all the time. And it's like, dude, I don't want to fight with you about my phone. Like, it's just not, we're not going to do it. Do I think my kid would play Kata's new game? The T-posing game, whatever it's called. I've already forgotten the name of it. No, I don't. I mean, maybe he would play it. I don't know that he would get maybe he would get more out of it than I did. I really tried playing to a T. A little bit before it came out, when they sent it out, I sat down with To a T and was like, okay, great, let's check this out. And it was just like, this is really clever, and I don't want to play it. I was like, this is really cute, this is really charming, this is really neat, and I don't like, I'm not finding any part of it like engaging enough to really stick with it. And so after the first chunk of it, you kind of go through getting ready for school and all that, and you get out the door and do some stuff. I played a little bit past that and just never went back to it. To a T just didn't really do anything for me. And I don't know, maybe I wonder if he would even understand the connective tissue around any of this stuff. Yeah, maybe Wadham would be more his thing. Maybe Nobi Boy would be his kind of thing. I don't know. Yeah, maybe we'll get the DNS server set up so we can play some Nobi Boy, bootleg girl.
Is that my wife?
And then while he's been doing that, I've been playing Battlefield 6. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about Battlefield 6 and how I've been playing it while children have been watching, and how that's probably not the best move, but I had to play it. I needed to play it anyway, so it happened that way. We'll be right back. When you're starting a business, there's a whole lot to do. It can be kind of overwhelming. Like you're doing a podcast, okay, we got to figure out what's going to happen this week, and is there a logo, and is there this, and is there that? Selling things online is a daunting concept, but it does not have to be, because Shopify is here for you.
Shopify is here.
Shopify is the online e-commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world. They handle like 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands that are just getting going. They make it easy. They've got templates that you can use in their design studio to get things ready to go very, very quickly, but you can get in there and tweak it all. You can tweak all your descriptions. They can offer you help with your products and descriptions and headlines and all that sort of stuff. They'll even help you get the word out, letting you easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And hey, Shopify is your commerce expert. They've got world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. So turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Jeff. Go to shopify.com/Jeff. It's shopify.com/Jeff. Battlefield 6, it came out late last week. It's
What?
really good. The campaign is terrible.
The campaign is terrible.
And the ways in
It
which
sucks.
it's really good, I find really fascinating. Like Battlefield 6 released, and it had launched queues and you know, like queues to get on the servers and all the other stuff. People seem to be satisfied, if not thrilled, with the state of Battlefield 6, minus a few things around. I saw some things, there's some bugs around the way guns, you know, just gun accuracy getting weird for a minute or whatever. But generally speaking, people seem like they're off to the races with it. They're like, yeah, man, cool, great. We're out here doing our thing. We're flying jets. I've been playing it for, I played it for basically all of last week. And they had like times for reviewers, so it was like, but it was always in the morning, so it was always when I was streaming or all this other stuff. So I didn't get in too much of that, and so most of the rest of the time you could just kind of play with bots. And let me tell you, playing official modes on official servers with all bots is a pretty good way to just fucking rank up. I recommend it. If you can find a way to go back in time and play the game before it's out, I recommend shooting a bunch of bots in the head. But it is the Battlefield experience, man. I got in a helicopter and it started taking off, and I pulled back on the stick thinking, well, I got to get this helicopter into the air. And it dumped right over and crashed. I'm a fucking idiot yet again. Another first flight on a helicopter in a Battlefield game. I just dumped it right over and it exploded. And went like, yep, okay, yeah, they made a Battlefield game. I screwed this up. Yep. Again. I think they've done good things, or like they've done all right with the way that they are kind of handling loadouts and stuff. This was something with the last game, because they had things like the wingsuit and some of these other kind of larger abilities that they would lock down in weird ways that ended up, I think, being kind of frustrating for a lot of players. Here they've got pretty much, you can equip any weapon you want. There are modes where the classes are locked to certain weapons types, but those are like closed class, closed weapon. Like, you know, those are kind of off to the side. They're not presented as like the main way to play. It's just there if you are a particular type of weirdo about the way these games need to be. They've got that as an option. So instead, the thing they're doing is each class specializes in a type of weapon. So Assault specializes in assault rifles. And what is it, like the Engineer specializes in submachine guns. And so what they do is, you know, like you can choose any weapon, but because this class specializes in this class of gun, if you take those things together, there is an additional little benefit to doing so. Like, if an assault class with an assault rifle is going to ADS faster, I forget the exact benefit. We'd have to go look it up. But, and so it gives you the freedom of choosing whatever you want, but you are kind of giving up the inherent kind of class benefit. And I think that is a good kind of way to split the difference there of like, hey, you know, yeah, you're going to unlock all these guns and you can take whatever you want. I mean, there are like classes of guns in that game that are no one's speciality. So if you want to take a DMR ever, like no one specializes in the DMR. So you're kind of just like, you know, they're balancing the guns accordingly, right? And I think that is a handy way to do all of this stuff. You're also leveling up the individual vehicles and stuff, and so, you know, once you kind of level up your tank, you might have more options for tank gadgets and what weapons you want the tank to be armed with and what have you. Which is, I always find it weird. When like you don't spawn as a tank. You don't go, I'm a tank. Like, when one's available, you can take one. And so it's like, by you getting in the tank, it's just like some reality-breaking thing here that for all the insane things that video games do, for whatever reason, this
10,000? Nice.
Too far. We're like, I got in the tank, and now it shoots different guns. For some reason, that just breaks down for me in a way that's like, that's not how tanks work. When I get in a tank, it doesn't magically reskin itself to the skin I picked. That's not how this works. What are we talking about? But... whatever. I've spent a lot of time. So it has like the larger modes and some pretty big maps for what they're for the player counts and everything else. I think that the maps fit the player count. The maps fit the mode. Like, could you put bigger maps into it? Absolutely. Of course, you always could. There are going to be people who always want the biggest, craziest, large maps in the world. But I think that generally the maps are the right size, I guess I would say, for the individual modes and so on. But also, I'm finding, man, and this has been the way with when I try to get into a Battlefield game, because they don't happen every year, and I don't always stick with a Battlefield game. When Battlefield comes out, I suck fucking shit at it, dude. Just like gun stuff, pointing guns at people.
Dude, I don't.
Them,
it was crazy.
At it for a good
that was crazy.
And
that
so
was
I
crazy.
found myself playing a lot of the team deathmatch
that one
mode,
was crazy.
which is
that
just
was
like
no
8-on-8,
control.
Dumb, like
Phew.
shoot
No,
dudes, like whatever. It is playing against the strengths of Battlefield in a lot of ways, but I just need more like trigger time. I need to get used to just like here's how we're aiming, here's how we're like here's how this is working, right? And so I've been playing a lot of that just to get more comfortable with just shooting dudes. And that's been helping. So it's weird. I don't know. Like it's sort of a different skill also in a weird way, because the small maps team deathmatch experience is a lot of just like reflexes and oh shit and shooting a guy because he's right around the corner. And that happens on the larger maps for sure, especially with these more kind of ones that have more buildings and more indoor environments where you're kind of going inside and you never know what's around the next corner. Like that shit happens. But a lot of Battlefield is like, I see a dude over there, I'm going to aim down, I'm going to crouch here and aim down sights and try to take him out at range and try to nail this guy before he even sees that I'm there. Which is, like also kind of a different skill than the typical kind of team deathmatch strategy of I'm going to run around and fucking shoot and or stab people. And so, yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like I've gotten more comfortable with the game over time, but it does not, like, no part of Battlefield feels like second nature, and the amount of time I feel like I have to spend with it to get there is always a little weird. I need to text my wife real quick. She's asking me a question about the upstairs television. And I just need to answer her back.
Come on, dude.
Okay. There's a campaign in Battlefield 6 as well.
I have no idea where I'm going. Yep.
And I don't think that necessarily like it's a bummer, right? It'd be nice if it had a fun, cool campaign. I feel like Battlefield, even more so than Call of Duty, the campaigns are like no one cares, or very few people care. And so like this is not a very damning. This is not like, oh, well, it's cool that the multiplayer is back to form, but boy, the campaign is pretty shit. Like, the campaign sucks, dude. But, that is, I finished the campaign last week. It's awful. Like, I mean, it is like crazy how bad it is. I was shocked from like a story perspective. The stuff that would be like relatively easy to do, because it's not a technological thing of just like, I don't know, try to string these missions together into something resembling a story.
Phew.
Like, it's so stupid. It is so mind-numbingly dumb, and they're trying to pull these levers like, oh, the CIA did this shadowy thing, and are you, which side are you, is this on, and who is with you, and who's against you, and what's going on in this, and like, it's fucking bad, man. A lot of it is told kind of in retrospect, like black, like the campaign, like the story in black. where you're like, okay, you're you know, the story hook is like, okay, you're talking through the past series of operations that you went through with this CIA handler who was handling you the entire time. And it sucks. So you have all these missions that are like, you know, they're strung together insofar as it's the same characters and they're moving from place to place and doing thing to thing. And then like near the end of the game, you go like, oh, well, this will probably be the last mission. And it loads up and it's just magically a different dude in a different part of the world that you ran into earlier in the campaign. And it's like they just sat down and said like, here's a fucking tank level. I don't know. We realized that the campaign didn't have a tank level, and so it's right here. It's the second to last level or third to last, whatever it is. Fuck it, it's a tank level. And by the way, you get out of the tank a third of the way through the mission. Ha ha. Like, yeah, it's weird. And so you have like these characters and this story that they're trying to tell that is just so fucking bad. It's not even like generic. It's not like you can just go like, well, it's there. It's like actively awful. The way they're trying to tell this story about like this, you know, the PMC Pax Armada, which is the opposing faction in the game, in the multiplayer as well. Like, they're trying to tell this story about like who these mercenaries are, and you're fighting them, and with this NATO countries are splintered, and at first you're just like, oh, this is already exhausting because you could imagine NATO splintering apart these days and blah, blah, blah. But like the direction they go with it is just so fucking stupid. They desperately try to like, they're like, we need a bad
beautiful
guy
girl.
who can remember his name or something. And so they desperately try to put one of those in the game, and that's a miserable failure. They try to do some mind fuck like, who's really the good guys, man? Like, it's just like every dumb, like, it is like the dumbest version of Black Ops. You know, like, it is like the most embarrassing, like, we're going to try to ask the crazy questions, man. Whoa. And it is the most ham-fisted, terrible, like, shooter like big budget shooter campaign I've seen in fucking ages. It is super bad. And the gameplay itself, like, a lot of it is like follow a guy. In some ways, the structure of the gameplay is also like the bad days of Call of Duty, which everyone criticized about, like, oh, they just write follow over a guy's head and you follow him. Like, there's some stuff like that, but it really is just like run to objective, do a thing. They have like one or two missions where it feels like, oh, okay, this is a larger area, like a battlefield map would be. Okay, now are we gonna do some stuff? And you're like, well, there's 3 targets, you should take them in this order. And you're like, okay, great, let's go. And then you realize, like, oh, there's really kind of only one way to get here. And then when you complete objective A, it's like, oh, it's helpful that there's a bunch of vehicles sitting here just outside the objective on this road that goes to objective B. So let's just drive over there and do this thing again. And like, so just the openness, the strengths of Battlefield, right? All of that feels gone or wasted or played against tight in ways that are like mind-boggling. It would be fascinating to know how this thing came together because, you know, of course, there were the stories about like, oh, there's this single-player studio working on it, and they shut that whole studio down. And so, you know, you have to imagine that at some point there were grander ambitions with what they wanted to do with the campaign, and this just ended up being what they could get done, or, you know, whatever the situation was. Regardless of all of that, the final output is straight up bad. And buggy, too. Like, weird cases where the other members of your squad are just, like, hovering in the air, and then, like, they all... Like, there's, you know, there'll be cutscenes, right? There'll be full-on cutscenes where the frame rate drops to 30 frames per second and goes like, this is a fucking cutscene, dog. And then there'll be, like, the kind of in-mission scripted sequence type stuff. There will be scripted sequences where, like, you'll just look around and all your guys will be, like, hovering in the air.
Whoa!
And then they'll just, like, walk backwards super fast for a couple of seconds to snap into position
baby girl.
for the
What's going on?
scripted sequence. And I had multiple cases where that scripted sequence just didn't happen. There's a point near the end of the game where the objective is something like
a little bit,
to escape or whatever it is. And like, okay,
sometimes
there's
it
a
just
map on the map that says where the grate is.
What's going to happen is
here,
what's going to
like,
happen.
There's a grate
Fight
here.
against it, yeah.
Now what? Do I shoot the grate? Do I get? What the fuck am I doing? Like I died like 7 or 8 times, trying to figure out what do I jump off the edge of this thing and try to hook the lip and grab on? Like what do I? No, that killed me too. And if I stand here long enough, I automatically die because you didn't get off in time, or whatever. Finally, I took a little bit longer to get to the grate. I did not just run to the grate. And the AI guys got there first, and they got in their weird position, and then they snapped into position, and then there was a little...
I missed my turn.
...of one of them opening a grate.
Phew.
And then you jump through the grate. And I'm like, yeah. Okay. Game good. What you're telling me is game good. So, whatever. They'll patch those bugs, presumably. But it's a pretty bad time. It's also like 4 hours long. Who cares?
Man, thanks for
Normally,
that.
I would be the guy who says like, no, don't let this off the hook. You should care. But there's something about the campaign in the Battlefield game, and it's a shame because the Bad Company campaigns were at least fun from a storytelling perspective. And like at that time, the destruction that they put into those campaigns was engaging. They've had better campaigns in the Battlefield franchise for sure. This really just feels like you're gonna do a thing, and then we're gonna drop to 30 frames per second. You're gonna watch a building or some sort of structure explode, and it's gonna fall apart, and you're gonna go, okay, and then you're gonna run to the next thing. And the destruction, like the destructibility of the environments is not so, like even in multiplayer, I'd say that like there are buildings and there are places where you can blow a hole in a wall, and there are places where you cannot. And the game is not great about letting you know.
Come on, dude. It's too much.
Like I've started unlocking,
Ouch.
explosives and charges and things that you look at and go like, well, I should be able to blow a hole in this wall, right?
Ouch.
And then you shoot it at the wall and nothing happens. And you're like, okay, I guess not. I don't know.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Like, it ain't the finals
That was
on that
crazy.
front. I think the finals has done destruction pretty well.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like that was the promise, right? Destructicity 2.0, whatever they called it. Levolution. That's right. It was fucking Levolution. There's not enough of that. I don't know. But like stuff that you just go like, it seems like that all these years later, having things that just kind of occasionally fall apart, but it's not reliable which ones are which unless you eventually learn like, oh, that building never comes down.
Your soda's all gone.
Is,
That's
you
good.
Need to
You
do
can have
this,
more
and you
soda
do that,
later.
and, or whatever it is.
Not having any soda this morning.
Like
You want your tablet?
The way things are destroyed
good.
versus not able to be destroyed is always like a curious thing. And I think Battlefield 6 kind of still has that issue. The funny thing about Battlefield 6, I wonder if they're sitting there. I wonder if because there's people that, like Vince Zampella has not been the Battlefield guy for very long. So there's probably like a crew of people coming in on this thing that this is their first Battlefield game. And then there's people who have been, this is maybe their 6th or 8th or who knows how many Battlefield games they've been part of. Do you think that there are people sitting there at one of the many studios that they have wrapped up to call Battlefield Studios, just shrugging and just going like, fuck, man, I don't know. Like, people seem to really like this game. What did they make? What is Battlefield 6? They just stopped fucking around and made a Battlefield game. And enough time has passed between the last time they did that people are excited about it all over again. If they had put this game out right after Battlefield 4, people would have been like, it's the same fucking, like, whatever, man. This is, like, they need to change. They need to change. So instead, they made the games that were tried to change. 2042 and Battlefield 1, like, they tried to do that stuff. None of those games hit the way that they wanted to. And now here we are. It's frustrating. So do you think that those people are sitting there just like shaking their head, just going like, fuck, man. This game is like the most, this is the easiest thing we could have made. Like it launched well, which is better than you could say for Battlefield. Like when you go back to Battlefield 3 and 4 and some of the ways some of those games launched, launch week was miserable. This game seems like it's pretty stable. They've got the same kind of Battlefield Portal stuff that they had in the last one, so you can make your garbage custom maps, you can make your shitty version of Shipment, which someone has made a shitty version of Shipment, and you know, you can make your own weird fake modes and try to grind XP forever. And they've made themselves a Battlefield game, and enough time has passed that that's all they need to do now is make a good, solid Battlefield game that plays well, and they did it, and it's fun. And I'm over here having a good time with it. But also in the back of my mind, I'm like, it's not, ambition is not necessarily a word I would use to describe Battlefield 6. But who cares? Like, that is not the end all be all either, right? So I think they've made a really good Battlefield game. It is a return to form. In some ways, it's their boots on the ground moment of we've got to push reset on this thing because it's that we fucked around for so many games now that people just want one thing that feels like the thing they liked, and now we can get away with that, and they're getting away with it. Except for the campaign being terrible, but you know, but they made themselves a better Battlefield 4, and that's cool. This many years later, that's cool again. They did the thing. So yeah, Battlefield 6 is out right now. I recommend it, man. I don't know. It's fun. But it's a Battlefield game. Like, you need to know. Did you buy your license? You know, if you it's not going to change your mind about Battlefield if you feel a certain type of way about the size of those games and all that other stuff, then, you know, then there you go. There's, you know, it is, they did not rewrite the book on it. In fact, they reopened the book on it, I might say. And so this was their one time of getting to push reset, right? And now what? Like, Call of Duty is at a point now where they're on the precipice. Like, are they going to get to a point where they have to push the reset button again? They might. You know? You got, you know, they're on the precipice of, like, futuristic drones and all this other stuff. If they put one more game out that goes another 10 years forward into the future, and they go, now you can jump jet and wall run and all this other stuff, like, they're gonna walk right into the same fucking trap that they did last time. But Battlefield didn't fall. This is them, you know, this is them pushing the reset button. This is them pulling the oh shit cable. This is we pulled the e-brake and just made a Battlefield game. Here you go. And I don't mean to say that, I don't mean to sound dismissive when I say that. They did the thing that people want to do, and I think they've done it quite well. So there you go. It's more Battlefield from the people what made Battlefield, and a bunch of other people now too. Is it going to be a massive success and all this other stuff? Steam numbers seem good. I don't know, whatever. But like, quality-wise, it's there. It's what you want, I think. You know, and everyone there wants very specific things out of Battlefield. There's no commander mode, all right?
Dude, this is vicious.
Which wouldn't
this
it be
is
cool
a little
if
vicious.
well, that was one of the neat things about,
that's just vicious,
you know,
bro.
Battlefield 2 and some of that stuff was like, there's just like, that game just had crazy ideas. Like, Battlefield 2 is insane.
Is vicious,
like, when
bro.
you think back on like what the types of roles they wanted people to play in that game and whatever else, and yeah, they did the commander stuff in later games, but like Battlefield 2 was really where it kind of had that wild stuff. And now it's just like, I don't know, like, there's a ghost commander, the AI tells you what point to go capture, and you can tell it to fuck off if you want as a squad leader. But it'll say, hey, you should try to defend point B, and you can go do that. It'll highlight it on your map, but you don't need a human commander in the role anymore. It says a lot about the future of warfare if you think about it, man. It's heady stuff. No, but it's good. I don't have you know, I don't have anything bad to say about the multiplayer in Battlefield 6. You know, it's merely just funny that enough time has passed between Battlefield 4 and now that this is the thing, and people seem to be quite satisfied with it. myself included. You know, so yeah. Some players are getting banned. Eurogamer has a story about Cronus Zen players being banned. And there's a screenshot going around that the screenshot looks kind of weird. Like maybe it's not real, but
ouch, 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 no, ouch, ouch,
hard
yep,
to say.
ouch, ouch. Corner, yep,
one way
it's
or
all right.
the other, but
You're gonna do it every time, huh? Okay.
the Cronus Zen is a device that kind of basically will let you insert macros into your gameplay. It's a filthy piece of business. It's some dirty business, that thing. I've never used one myself. I would be curious to just like fuck around with one and really fully wrap my mind around its capability, but it is an external device that you are kind of plugging in between your input device to do some stuff. And you have to install the macros, and so the people responsible for the devices and the community around it, they will come up with macros that work for individual games and all this other stuff. So there is talk going around that perhaps people are being banned for using them, which is exactly how it should be, and good. These players should be cast off into their own hell pit where they can play with other Cronus Zen users for the rest of all time. Like, who cares? Or banned outright and not allowed to play the game if you'd rather go that way. I always like the idea of cheaters only play with cheaters, like as a solution to that. It's like, oh, you can still play the game, but every single person you're playing with is also a known cheater, and so you can sit here and just fucking wall hack each other's fucking asses off all day long. Who cares? I always thought that was kind of neat. So yeah,
oh
I
my
don't know.
God,
There's
dude.
talk about people getting banned for using the
He's gonna try careful
stuff, but that is there's no kind of definitive answer on that. It's kind of just, you know, with a lot of this cheating stuff, like EA doesn't necessarily come out and say, hey, here's what we did to ban this device, because then the people who make the device might know what they need to do to fix it and work around it and all this other stuff. So it does become this kind of shadowy cat and mouse sort of thing. With cheating in competitive shooters especially, but you know, they supposedly have their big heavy anti-cheat kernel level driver and secure boot and all this other stuff, right? But that's the stuff that helps with the kind of more traditional, like, you know, the Cronus Zen script stuff there are other ways to detect that. Like the secure boot stuff is for modifying memory, right? It's supposed to be like, okay, we're going to prevent you from getting in here and modifying the game. I assume that secure boot and all the TPMs and everything else that all these games require now, I assume that also puts a stop to the weird thing where people get weird RAM like in their computer, and then they hook the RAM up to another computer that can modify the RAM in real time, and so all the modifications happening kind of off the main machine, which is how the high-level Fortnite cheats were working, I think, for a while there, where it was just like you had two computers and one was your cheat computer, which is like, you gotta be dedicated, I think, to get the weird RAM that has cables coming out of it, to have the weird to buy cheating RAM, I think is some really wild stuff. But that is, I believe, how some of those people were doing some of that. So more power to, I don't know. Ridiculous. But there's been some stuff going around talking about people using Cronus Zen. Like the specific post that made its way to Reddit is that people are saying that PS5 users using Cronus Zens on PS5 are getting permanently banned from the game. But yeah, I don't know. My favorite thing is that when people who use macro devices like a Cronus Zen and some of that, my favorite thing is when those people go like, well, this isn't cheating. All this stuff is built into the game. Like when they try to play it off like, well, this is all just there. I'm just hooking a device up to it that pushes the button faster. The game does it.
Dude.
Like people that try to
I'm on.
that try to say shit like that it's always fun to watch people be fucking stupid fucking assholes. More power to
Dude,
them.
stop oversteering,
Keep on
please.
being a stupid fucking asshole. Let's take another break. We'll come back. Talk about I don't know. We'll talk a little about Absalom. No, there's no E in there. There's no E in there. We'll figure out how to pronounce it after this. Did you know that there's an online cannabis company that ships federally legal THC right to your door? And they found a way to combine THC with carefully selected functional ingredients to target nearly every mood and health concern you can think of. I'm talking about Mood.com's incredible line of functional gummies, and you can get 20% off your first order at Mood.com with the promo code Jeff. Forget these one-size-fits-all supplements that are, designed to, just get you high, man. Mood's got functional gummies that are optimized to kick in as little as 15 minutes and take you to the mood that you're looking for. There's a wide variety here. They've got Mind Magic Gummies for deep work and creativity, PMS support to ease cramps and balance mood swings, or their Sexual Euphoria Gummies to help you feel ready for action and turn every touch into a full body experience. You can get if you're just looking for weed gummies. You're just like, I just want to get blazed off the weed gummies, son. You can get those anywhere, right? Mood has these functional gummies that combine premium, federally legal THC with these targeted botanicals to get you into that perfect mood, usually in as little as 15 minutes. And everything ships discreetly right to your door. No dispensary lines, no awkward conversations. Just better days and nights delivered.
Dude, oh my God.
And hey, best of all, not only is every Mood product backed by a 100-day satisfaction guarantee, but as I mentioned, you can get 20% off your first order right now with the order code Jeff. So head to Mood.com, find the functional gummy that matches exactly what you're looking for, and let Mood help you discover your perfect mood. And don't forget, use that promo code Jeff when you check out.
Stop. Oh my gosh, all the way in a circle, huh, bro? Whew. No, I get it.
Absalom. Absolum. This is the first time I'm saying it out loud. I've been playing this a little bit.
Fourth, huh?
I'm not sure.
Easy. What are you? Easy.
Absalom is a beat 'em up, a brawler, a belt scroller, if you will.
Easy.
Nice looking graphics. Combo heavy. You can kind of do some air juggles in there. Light attack, heavy attack. But also it is run based.
He's in third. Okay.
Let me use some shorthand for you.
Yeah, tester.
That I think is I don't always like it. Okay.
Damn, you're going fast, bro.
Said,
you are going fast.
That's cool. We should make one of those. But what if instead of how Hades plays,
you are going fast, bro.
Like the Streets of Rage 4, but it's a run-based kind of roguelite take on that. That is Absalom in a nutshell. I'm always very wary of games, those games have been influential. Hades, as well as like Dead Cells. There's something about Dead Cells and Hades that when I see elements of those games, which obviously those games are derived from a rich history of other games and all that stuff, but there's something very specific when you see a game where you look at the storytelling and the way it is, and you just go like, oh, okay, yeah. Been a handful of those over the years where you just kind of see it and go like, okay, yeah. No, I also played Hades. I know what you're doing. Yes, I see it. And something about like things that like look very Dead Cells-ish, which I think even Hades would qualify as, weirdly enough, as something that has
that's very kind of you.
Little bits and pieces of influence from something like a Dead Cells. Absalom the combat is very. The combat is not doing it for me. Yeah, sure. Mason Weather says reminds me of Guardians Heroes on the Saturn. Yeah, you could. Yes, that is also something you could certainly pull from. In terms of just like some of the ideas around the gameplay. But you are kind of getting things along the way, along your run. When you die, you are going back to a central hub and talking to characters, and you can change characters between a lady and a dwarf. I played as the lady because the dwarf looked dumb. But you can change between runs. It's just kind of, how it goes. And I believe you probably unlock other characters as you go, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Because I have not played a ton of it. But you are making choices along the way. Like, you have your light attack, your heavy attack. You have a deflection, so you can kind of hit B to kind of deflect an attack. And you will take, in a run-based manner, you will get upgrades that will change the properties on some of those attacks. So, like, for example, the very first one I saw was one where you could go... The choice, you were choosing what to imbue with fire. And you could take your main attack and turn it into a fire attack, and it would have a certain DPS there. Or you could take your deflection, and when you deflect an attack, it sets the guy on fire. The deflection is harder to do, obviously, than just mashing buttons to hit a guy. But also, the deflection did more damage when done successfully. And so that was the trade-off, right? And so as you play through, you're going to get access to more and more stuff like that. I feel like this game has all of the pieces in place to be really cool, and people seem like they've been enjoying it. Yeah, Wizard Frog. Yes, that's right. There is a Wizard Frog. He's in the intro.
Hey, let's change that fish in water. Hey.
This game feels like it has all the pieces to be very successful. It seems like people are digging it.
No, baby.
It has not landed with me at all for whatever reason. Like, I think the combat itself is
too much.
Fine.
I go in there every morning expecting to see that fish
you're building
floating.
up a meter for a super attack. It is,
it's amazing.
It's 4 developers, like, this is .mu that did this. And you kind of see.
I need a whiteboard.
Some of that legacy here. This is Guard Crush Games.
Good morning. Good morning.
Who did Streets of Rage 4.
What's up, kid?
But yeah, I don't know. It's the movement and some of the animation. It's like the animation is fine, but
your sister can turn on some.
The animation is fine for like cutscene looking stuff, but playing it, I don't know. Like, it is not working for me. I'm gonna keep with it because it seems like kind of as you play more and more of it, as you are unlocking more and more options, and that stuff starts to flesh out. I think that stuff could start to be be cool. You get different kind of super attacks, ways to spend your mana meter. You'll unlock more of those as you play.
That makes sense.
And some of the later ones there look pretty interesting, but
a little old after a while.
Yeah, it's a game that I think if it came out at a different time of the year when there were not a bunch of other games coming out, I would be a lot more ready to invest time in it. But at a time when there's a lot of other stuff that I'm like way more interested in playing, I played a few runs of this and like, yeah, fine, okay,
dude,
I get it.
It gets old,
and didn't find myself getting sucked into it at all. So, so your mileage may vary, but like I said, people seem to be really enjoying it. So if that sounds like it's up your alley and you really liked Streets of Rage 4 more than I did, which I thought the game was pretty good, even as someone who is, I would say, quite critical of this genre and how to make this genre work in this day and age. I think Streets of Rage 4 is about as good as you can ask for when it comes to trying to make a sequel to Streets of Rage.
A little late to be having breakfast, dude.
Which is to say, it's a little simplistic, but still a good time.
Family talk,
I would say, is also kind of in the same.
We've
like
gone
it's
from
a little
breakfast
simplistic in some ways.
in the morning
like
to
either you're into this combat or you're not.
10.
I'm finding myself just kind of.
I just think that's a little.
Really
but we don't do that
but
when
give
you
it
go
a
to
look.
work.
It is a striking.
Me and
looking
baby
game.
girl
It
are
does
up
feel
usually
like
by
that,
8.
a lot of work has gone into it, and you know, I think if that jives with you, I think you'll probably have a pretty good time
Yeah,
with
I'm
it.
a little pissy. I'm sitting
It's
here,
$25. It's out on Steam
sitting here, and we're
right
just gonna
now.
keep. What, we're gonna
And
sleep until noon? We're gonna let our kids sleep
yeah.
until noon.
And yeah. Today is the end of Windows 10. If you're running Windows 10, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just tired of being the Nazi.
If you are
I'm
still running
tired of
Windows 10
everyone
tomorrow,
pushing it to the point that I have to
report
say
to
something,
prison.
and then let's pretend I'm the fucking Nazi.
Or report to the
Fuck,
malware
dudes.
mines, I guess. I don't know. Like,
You literally
this is
make me say it.
I think this is insane the way that
Everyone's
this
pissy
has
with
gone
me,
down.
and everyone's
Obviously,
grumpy
Microsoft
with me,
made it
and I'm the
known
fucking villain. Just
a long time ago
it gets
that
old,
this was
man.
going to be the day
It's a
where
bitch,
Windows
dude.
10
It just
stops receiving
gets
security updates and
I begged you
and any
guys to change
updates
that fish
whatsoever.
water yesterday.
I think that's when you think about how many Windows 10 machines. Okay, two things.
I'm explaining myself.
One, there are still a lot of Windows 10 machines out there. Two,
just apologize. I'm
Windows
explaining
11
why I'm
had
grumpy.
different weird
I'm not
requirements
attacking you.
that made it so people with some older machines were not able to
Trying to
upgrade.
explain my behavior.
And so the expectation here is you're just supposed to go, oh, I guess I need to take this computer and throw it in the trash. Or, you know, like maybe your motherboard can support a TPM add-on chip. Maybe you can go buy that and throw it in there. Right?
Yeah, some about the new Windows
allow you
is
to install Windows 11, right?
They're acting like all the old machines are going to be.
But maybe you don't. Maybe you
trash.
have a slightly older
That
machine
was never true before.
that cannot do that. And so, like, the expectation on Microsoft's part is what?
That like those
E-waste? Throw all that shit in the trash, go buy a brand new computer. I think
So a lot of these old machines won't be able to
When
upgrade.
you think about how many systems are still out there that are running XP and 7 and like
so you'll
weird
be
institutional
vulnerable to
systems where it's
any
like, I don't know, man,
kid
like
in
Japan just
Bismarck,
stopped using
Idaho,
floppy
with
disks last year or something, right?
basic
So
understanding.
I think there's a lot of real crazy
systems to keep running Windows 10
stuff around that. And now there are a zillion workarounds for this. Once you're ready to step outside of the official, you know, which I think is perfectly endorsable behavior at this point. If Microsoft is going to tell you to F yourself, then hey, maybe you should investigate the Windows 10 IoT Enterprise LTSC branch, which is supposedly going to get security updates for the next 10 years.
Come on, you gotta get it. Yep, not for baby in here.
So for another decade, they are still going to be long-term servicing a specific branch of Windows 10, but if it's not your branch, so fuck you. I think that's crazy. I think that's crazy for the security and the sanctity of the internet to just take like this many millions of machines and just go, fuck you. Upgrade. Give us more money. I think it's
I'm sorry,
irresponsible for Microsoft to do that as a company, especially in a scenario where enterprise customers are going to get another decade of security.
I had to catch it on tape.
Or thereabouts, something like 10 years.
Playback.
What? No,
there are ways to convert your install over to an LTSC install.
About Facebook.
If you want to go down that road,
And
I've
not
not done that
but
because I'm not running any Windows 10 machines
That shit
anymore,
is
so
fake.
I don't
That's
need to do that. But
so you're on
but
Facebook,
there are options out there for
but
you.
only
There are
when
ways
it's
to install Windows
fucking
11 on machines that are supposed to run it that are apparently
approved.
perfectly fine as well.
Fucking Facebook, dude. I was like, you people are also.
And you know, this has been the direction they've been pushing in for a long time. A lot of people in the chat are like, "Oh, it's because they want AI on all these PCs." Like, no,
my wife broke me when she kept taking pictures of us living in this fucking cave.
They want
can't
Windows
stop.
11 on more PCs because Windows 11 is more
you know what I mean?
service-based. Windows 11 has
because the
greater
background
upsell
isn't
opportunities for OneDrive and for.
So anyways, I'm still pissy about Facebook.
Like whatever their
it's
Microsoft
literally
services are. It's a free upgrade. It's always been a free upgrade to go from 10 to 11 if you are so
where you try to put your pretend life, how great your pretend life is. No.
I think it's ridiculous. I think when you know, like when you think about how many of these machines are online and are still going to be online after this,
it's a place
again,
where
I think it's
you put your best
irresponsible. I
photo,
think this
your
is the
best
sort of thing that
family
leads
photos,
to
your portraits.
more
That's where you go to
malware,
get
more
at
denial of
glamour
service
shots.
attacks, more botnets.
That's where
More,
you post
there's
your
just
fucking
there is such an
homemade
opportunity
glamour shot.
here for bad actors.
Are you waiting on me?
Once the current version, the final version of Windows 10 is really, you know, plumbed and
really
prodded and poked for more exploits and things like that. I think that stuff is really bananas. I think it's a really crazy stance for Microsoft to take.
Actually, a few pairs of socks might be perfect.
And I say that as someone who has been running Windows 11 for quite a long time, and as someone who actually quite likes Windows 11. The things that they did to, I mean, just something as simple as multi-monitor support is so much better in Windows 11 than it was in 10. And
we don't trick or treat.
Windows 11 is still hyper configurable.
Were they
Still very
separate? Is that
easy
the deal
to
too? But
disable
you had to
all
have
of the
them?
fucking AI shit in Edge as if you're using Edge as a browser. I mean, hilarious, right? Though Firefox has a bunch of AI shit in it now that you have to disable, which is shitty on top of shitty. Yeah, man, it's the Windows 11 is still a version of modern Windows. It's still very easy to configure to your liking. You know, like it still has regedit in it. It's not some crazy. It's not locked down in any way.
All right.
So, you know, like Windows 11, I think is generally fine, and I have not had to do too much to like I just did a fresh install of Windows 11, and so like I feel like I'm fairly current on the bullshit that they throw in your way, and there is some. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say like it's fine, but like you do have to deny the like, hey, do you want an offer to? Hey, do you want to use Outlook? Fuck no, man. Fuck no. The last company I worked for forced everyone to use Outlook.
Who uses Outlook and all that shit? It's some weird corporate mafia shit going on. Huh?
It is so bad.
Yeah, it's a Microsoft thing. I don't know what it is. Yeah.
Fuck you.
Why don't you just use Gmail, man?
So I don't want to use any of those services, like because I think they're bad. I'm not morally like if they made good things. And they were like, hey, pay an annual fee to use our good things. I'd be like, dope. Okay, yeah, great. I could use some good things in my life. Instead, I've subscribed to a mail program for Windows called Mailbird that I don't think is great either. But it's not Outlook.
It's the same shit Oracle makes money on, or what else? Some other nameless fucking company.
And OneDrive. I think OneDrive is. I'm not interested in
Some
using
other
OneDrive. I don't want to use
faceless corporate
I have other
entity.
ecosystems for
I have
cloud
no
backup.
fucking idea what they do or make.
Interest in using
They
OneDrive.
make a valve for oil rigs
this
or something
fucked up thing where when you install a fresh copy of Windows,
Excel,
it wants to put your desktop.
If you're a company, you probably have to buy Excel. Like, yeah, you have to buy
which makes it so when you go and fucking uninstall OneDrive, when you force uninstall OneDrive and go fuck this thing, God, you're then like, okay, I need to repoint the desktop folder to somewhere else.
Cash register software.
I think recent versions of Windows 11 have actually cleaned up that experience ever so slightly. I think they realized that people need that. So I think that might be slightly easier than it was 6 months ago, but I can't say for sure. But I would say the same thing about Windows 10. A fresh install of Windows 10, you're going to need to do some work to it as well. And so, like, I look at Windows 11 and I look at Windows 10. It's the difference is not, you know, like I don't think like people that are like afraid of Windows 11. I think that's kind of also kind of a weird stance to take because ultimately it is as configurable as you want it to be. I would not recommend, because people do this, and there's like versions of Windows 10. Like this has been around for a while, this idea, but people will go get like whatever the current build of Windows is, and they'll try to de-bloat it themselves, and then like release that as like it's Windows 10 Privacy Edition or Windows 11, you know, Rage Edition, you know, whatever the fuck it is. And I don't trust that shit at all. I would like someone else's like, trust me, bro, this is the good Windows 11. Like, no thanks, man. I will download it from Microsoft and clean it up myself. I don't want to go download some fucking guy's fucking version of Windows. Because I don't trust that. I don't recommend you trust that. I think that's super fucking crazy that people would do that. So yeah, I don't know. If you're still running Windows 10, I would say investigate your options. Hey, there's always Linux, man. I don't know. What games do you play? So this is something that I'm gonna, I have put some money down on one of those ROG Xbox Ally Xbox X's. And so I am going to try the world of Windows-based PC gaming handhelds again to see what's up with that. Those are out later this week. So we'll get a sense of what the fuck that is all about. But obviously the Steam Deck has been, and Valve's work with Proton and some of that other stuff, has literally been world-changing for a lot of people in terms of Linux-based gaming. For me, it really comes down to just like the games. There are games that don't and will probably never run on Linux unless the install base changes in such a steep percentage that developers can't afford to leave Linux users behind, which is an unlikely scenario to happen anytime soon. But again, Battlefield, you would not be able to play it. Call of Duty, you would not be able to play it. Destiny 2, no one is playing, but if you wanted to play it, you would not be able to play it. Games with various anti-cheat things simply do not run on Linux. And so as someone who is interested in playing a wide variety of video games, Linux is not an option. I do not feel like Linux is a solid option for me at this time, because I still regularly interact with games that simply will not run on Linux. Just about everything else, productivity oriented, like, hey man, what are we doing on computers nowadays anyway? Really? Like, how hard are you pushing your computer when it's not video games? I have a bunch of crazy shit.
Dude. No, you just literally have to let go of the controller and let it do what it's going to do, and then figure out from there where you're at. Try to recover, I guess.
I guess the question is, like, does DaVinci Resolve exist for Linux? Apparently you can run it in a container. So there is an officially supported way to run DaVinci Resolve on Linux. So yeah, even that is there. So the Linux situation has become, it is so like just light years ahead of where it was even 5 years ago in terms of being something that you could potentially do. And it really
Dude,
comes down
what are you doing?
I think a lot of it comes down to just like the games you play and if those games have anti-cheat or not.
It's using the excuses, the road, something, and just fucking spin me in circles.
There are so many open source alternatives. So many of the things I use on a day-to-day basis are already open source.
It's the car. It's some excuse.
Of course, there's a Linux equivalent in a lot of these situations. Like, I am not as comfortable with Linux as I am with Windows. I've just been using Windows for much longer, and so pulling a Windows install apart and putting it back together and fixing problems when they arise.
What are you doing? Sorry.
Pretty decent at that. Whereas when Linux breaks, depending on how it breaks, there's a certain point that I always reach with a Linux install where I go, oh shit, I need to wipe this entire machine and start over because I don't know what the fuck I just
that's what it's going to do.
And,
no, it won't let you win the race. It's infuriating. You got this place, we'll let you move up a couple more, then we'll let you move up a couple more, and then we're going to let you win it. And you're like,
fuck around type stuff with Linux in a way where you can
does not feel like a game, dude. Doesn't feel like a game. Feels like it's rigged.
The stupid shit that I'm running.
Nobody plays a rigged slot machine, dude. That's rule number one.
That's been just fun to do.
It's like a rule number one. No one plays a rigged slot machine, dude. That's not a game.
Thinking that I was going to be traveling more, and then immediately canceled the trips I was planning on going on. So that worked out great. But that's a heck of a machine, and that's got a similar terminal and all that stuff as well. So I don't know, man. I like the Mac. Like people really swear by Mac Mini, the current Mac Mini, in terms of just like power and stuff. Like for if you're not playing games, like that's a pretty neat option as well. But yeah, Linux is just about there. Or I don't know, like, you can always make it friendlier. We talk about it. Windows has a long way to go, right? That's the one of the bigger tests of this Xbox branded device launching this week is that Windows is still not something that's ready, that's truly friendly to people that don't use computers. I could maybe say a Mac is a little bit, because they obfuscate a few more things on a Mac, and now everything's just so tied into iCloud anyway. That gets back to my point: is what are you really doing on a computer that you're not? It isn't just I am using a thing in a web browser. I'm checking my email in a web browser. How many native apps do you run on your computer? It depends. Are you editing video and audio? Like those are very real scenarios. That's what I do most of the time. I'm shuffling shit around. I'm leveling audio files and exporting them. I'm uploading them in a web browser. I'm putting them here. I got this stuff set up over here. I got an emulator that, talks to a WebDAV server, like all this other shit set up. But like most of that stuff exists.
Why are you in the middle of the road, dude?
I saw, while we're talking about operating systems here, before we get into the news, I saw that Google was looking to lock down Android and make it harder to sideload things onto it, and that emulator authors were worried that that emulators might find themselves, whether it's being kicked out of the Google Play Store entirely or what have you, that there would be a lot more roadblocks in the way when it comes to installing, sideloading things onto Android machines. I don't know how far that's going to go, but I just look at that and like, wasn't that the whole point of Android? And the answer, of course, is no. The whole point of Android is for Google to harvest a lot of interesting data and sell it and all the other fun stuff that Google does because they're Google. So I don't know. Like now at this point, it's like, okay, are we installing Lineage OS on phones now? Are we balling out that hard? Like, what's going on? We'll see what actually happens. That stuff hasn't rolled out yet. I think that was just like something that, was a suggested path that Google is apparently on. But I don't know. Like generally speaking, Android has been a better platform for emulation than iOS because Apple does not let you sideload things easily in this country anyway, and even outside of this country, it's even in the stores where they did open it up, it's still not simple to do it. And so some of the things I was reading about what Google was doing was making it sound like, oh, you're going to put up all the hoops that Apple users make everyone jump through to do this shit, aren't you? You're gonna lock it down that way. And there's some stuff on iOS that you just can't do through Apple's store that would benefit more high-end emulators. Things that are trying to emulate newer systems and stuff would take advantage of the full power of the system. But because of the way that Apple restricts just-in-time compilers and other stuff, like you are kind of locked out of stuff. Whereas Android does not have that restriction currently. It's weird, man, to think about it. Because like that was the whole point. Is people were like, "Oh, Android, that's the Linux of phone OSs," and you're like, "Yeah, yes, it is," but also, no, it is not. So someone needs to, I don't know if it's Lineage OS or what the actual best option for, like if you want a good de-Googled Android-based, like Android-style OS for an Android phone. I don't know what your options are these days, but I don't know, man. It's all bad. In conclusion, it's all bad. Let's take our final ad break, and then we'll come back and we will get into the news. After this. It is once again time to upgrade your underwear. That's right, fall is here. It's getting wet outside, and if not wet, then at least cold. You know, you're wearing layered clothing that sometimes can have the opposite effect. I don't know. Sometimes you're literally sweating your balls off in these layers of clothing. You need underwear that can stand up to anything. You need MeUndies. MeUndies underwear are ridiculously soft. You know, you'll never want to take them off. They're made with this micro-modal fabric that feels like a cloud, but they still breathe when things heat up. So, you know, if you're wearing layers and you're going outside and it's cold outside and it's hot inside, you know, sometimes you just get that weird, like, my skin is sweating under my clothes and I can't handle it. MeUndies is up to the task. And they're stretchy, so, you know, whatever you're doing, even if you're crushing wings on the couch, MeUndies has you covered. And hey, Halloween's right around the corner. MeUndies has limited edition Halloween line here with fun, festive prints, including glow-in-the-dark underwear, which is always fun, I find. They've got a style for everyone. A cut for every butt, as they say, over 20 different styles in 100 different colors and prints. That micro-modal fabric is breathable, stretchy, cozy, perfect for crisp mornings, chilly nights, and everything in between. If you're layering up for a hike, if you're lounging around all day, MeUndies moves with you, keeps you comfortable. And there's the Breathe line, which is designed with moisture-wicking and anti-odor technology to help keep you fresh through, you know, fall workouts. Now you're out at like a pumpkin patch walking around. You're out there walking around. MeUndies. They also use sustainably sourced materials and work with partners that care for their workers. And hey, guess
I don't
Just noticed that. Back.
What's gonna eat that?
Huh?
Like,
Your
who's
kid?
gonna eat that?
Your kid will.
Freaking me out.
No issues.
Where you at, baby?
Susie Bear, Sydney, come on.
Come get something to drink.
I got something special for you.
Oh, you kid doze. Let me be careful, my mic's still on. My game's paused, but my mic's still on. Did you hear me?
Look at the eye. Halloween toast. That's what Dad said. He said the eye was creeping.
Oh, that's the first thing she ate, bro.
Yep.
Ah, you got an eyeball in your belly.
It's just sugar. It's hard. You don't have to eat it. You can put.
It'll melt.
It's for
It's
aesthetics.
like a candy.
It's for aesthetics. It's for aesthetics.
That'd be close.
I eat it. You eat the finger? Okay.
Oh, that was a finger?
Yeah, it's like a witch's finger.
I thought it said like lip or something.
No, it's supposed to be a witch's finger.
That she did a wrist on it.
Mmm, the green.
Yeah, see? We got the witch's sprinkles.
Ooh, dead witch, creepy witch.
Oh, it's right here. Mm-hmm. See, Mom? It's right here.
Oh, I see. I see.
I'm a tummy juice.
My son back inside yet?
No.
I can do this. I can do good at that. Actually, Mom, the sprinkle mix is called Monster Lab.
Oh, Monster Lab.
But yeah. I need nothing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, baby, baby. Oh, section. You can be honest. Got a book for you want this one? This one's in. Okay. It's for me. Banana, 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 banana. I used to eat a banana when we were a baby. Yeah. You missed out on the Monster Labs toast. Yeah. What? Mom made you Monster Lab toast. I did not make it. But since you weren't here, you missed out on it, and she just ate it. It's toast with sprinkles sauce. Oh. Yep. I wanted to feed my baby again. How you tell? Yeah, my birthday needs to be fed. This is about pictures. Yeah. I would have went for the pumpkin spice latte. Well, I finished it. Yes. I love fish too. It was done. Like just like even with what you're eating, like pumpkin spice latte sprinkles would not go with chocolate peanut butter. What is going? I have no idea. I thought your pumpkin spice. Or we'd have to go on to like a sugar cookie or something. Or maybe. I'm making you guys some fried egg sandwich. No, you did nothing. I'll be back. What's the agenda today? Plan. Or going anywhere? Not really. I took care of the stuff. So I'm going to storage tomorrow. Probably. Give it to me. Come on, hon. It's low. Screw it back for it. Need for practice. Yeah, I need. Hold on, Trip. Oh, hey, that's enough sprinkles. Come on. I'll put more. But yeah. Hey guys, doesn't the Tucson need to go in? Yeah. Oh, that was his bed? Are you sure? Okay. Bud, we already
We remembered. Bub's gonna call. Echo. Bubs is gonna call. Double check about a time, but I assume it's at any time probably today. So yeah, we're gonna get ready. Put in Latif. We'll go take it down there. I think is the plan.
Okay.
Hey, baby.
How you allowed to drive if you blind?
Turned right in front of me, dude. I've got the fucking right of way too. No, I've got the right of way and it turned right in front of me, bro.
You need to get correct.
It's not like I was driving crazy. I literally have the right of way. And it still turned right in front of me, dude. Predicted, dude. Of course you did. Nobody can drive that slow. Frustrating. Frustrating.
Oh, God. Okay. There's a woman that check fingers in there.
All the way across town.
Oh, I got peanut butter. Mom, that's my face. Oh, let me see. Happy place. That's a happy place. It's great. Say.
Guess what? If you're not happy with your first pair of undies, it's on Me Undies. But you're gonna be happy. With more than 30 million pairs sold and 90,000 five-star reviews, Me Undies are an essential must-have for every drawer. I'm finding more and more often that this ends up being true. I am wearing Me Undies right now. And nothing else. right now. If you're in the sound of my voice, you can get cozy and spooky for less with deals up to 50% off at meundies.com/Jeff and enter the promo code
Whoa,
Jeff.
my God.
That's meundies.com/Jeff and the promo code Jeff for up to 50% off MeUndies comfort that's made for fall.
What are you doing?
They're gonna make another Xbox. We talked about that last week. But now we've got some alleged details.
Dude, what is happening right now? What is fucking happening right?
Which is the YouTube channel.
What? Oh my God.
Where I first heard
What
of it,
is happening right
when
now?
This channel had dev portal documentation of the PlayStation 5 Pro.
The computer just stole my car, bro, that I drove all the way over here to export.
It's probably legit. That ended up
That
being,
cannot
pretty dead
be.
on. And they have gone on over there to have some updates.
This is satanic, dude. That cannot be on the disc. That cannot be on the fucking disc, dude.
Now he's
Or what? That is fuck you, dude. Fuck this game. Okay, that's too much, dude. Whoa. Wow. Okay. Whoa. Whoa. That was.
Information here. You know, he's trying to
That's
break it down.
intense,
This is,
dude.
and
Whoa. My player character's about to check the fuck out.
Kind of trying to place it as to like,
yeah, this is it's the vibe, just like last night. Whole vibe. Okay.
Which is, I think, kind
what
of
are we gonna
crazy.
do here? Okay, what are we gonna do here, dude? Let's just grab a car, get the fuck out of here.
Even the PlayStation 6 specs.
Just wait for the cop to go.
Upon leaks with that as well.
Go ahead, cop. Gotta go. See ya. Okay.
But the upshot
any
here
other cops?
of
Don't see any.
kind of his takeaway from
Don't
it
see
is
any.
that the Magnus could theoretically be more
go.
powerful than the PlayStation 6. Though
Get out of
obviously
here.
more expensive.
That intense, huh?
And then
dude,
probably need
I gotta rewind that one
as
for
a
you.
result of some of the same speculation. I think
I gotta rewind that one for you. It was it literally did Achilles to me. You know the circling Troy with Hector's body.
If it is a more
it did that to me.
Device and not just a closed
and then
bespoke console.
You know how they go psycho on you, like you'll bump into a car and then he'll go full psycho and start ramming you and just won't. Well, I found out if you shoot at it, if you get out and you shoot at him, it'll usually run away. So and he'll leave your car alone. Or you change cars. Like he's not focused on you, he's focused on your car. So anyways, I go to get out to shoot at his car. Well, as soon as I get out, he rams my car and it just perfectly is lined up and he drives it down the street. He pushes my car that I drove all the way across the map to export and accidentally bumped into him and he went after I just got out of the pay and spray. Because you know you want to deliver it in good condition. So I drove all the way out of my way to go to the pay and spray, right? And then I'm driving as careful as I can to the export area. And then I guess somehow accidentally bump into a psycho motherfucker who then starts playing bumper cars with me and then driving around me in circles.
Similar devices.
So then I'm like, oh, okay, I'll get out and fire a couple shots at him. He'll drive off. Real cute game. Ha ha ha. Just got out of the paper spray. Ha ha ha. So then when I get out, somehow it just, and he pushes my, it was gone. He drove away with my car.
That makes it a reasonable price, especially in this day and age.
And I'm just like, how is that? Brain power. What the fuck? How did you do that? And then that's when you feel like there's got to be another guy. Like I got to be getting hacked.
End up coming in.
There is no. You're telling me the computer was that smart to work all that out?
The CPU, from the look of the specs, it's not cheap.
That so that's Palantir. That's what you guys have been doing.
That's how I feel about Bioshock sometimes.
Just predicting you, and you're like, dude, no, this is.
I'll be fighting like one of the slicers, and then the bot alarm shows up with this flying drone, shooting me from the, and Big Daddy pops out of nowhere, and I'm fighting like 3 different things at the same time. Like,
basically, you know, I think.
But
you
yeah,
know, his,
that
his
was
kind of ray of
satanic
hope
level.
coming out of this
Just
is that like
wow, where you just have to sit
and the
back and
quote
you're
here is,
stunned. Like,
"This is
I
going to be
don't know how
viewed,
the
I
computer
believe,
just
as a
did all that, but
cost-optimized,
that was.
mass-produced device that can potentially put a
Whew.
check on OEMs
That's how they
and
get Uber
pre-builts
drivers to
overcharging
start
for their
shit.
gaming
Bubba, I'm
desktops.
telling you, that's what
For
they
example,
use
let's
these
say
games
Asus
to
wants to
figure
sell you a
out is how to
pre-built with a
predict us,
4070 in it for
our next movement,
$2,500.
how to
How
predict
could they
our next
possibly get away
movement,
with
how to
something
put
like that
these
if there's an
things in
Xbox
front of
console
us
out there
so that they
that runs
control
some
us like
version of
little
full
fucking
Windows 11
droids.
and actually has RTX 5080 or better raster and possibly around 5090 ray tracing
And so, yeah, what the fuck this thing is doing? Yeah.
and the answer is
But yeah,
just won't be able to
I
get
gotta
away with
let
that
go of the
anymore. If
control
there's an Xbox
sometimes and just
hybrid
go,
console out
fuck,
there that's
wow,
$1,200 or
dude,
heck,
that
even
was
$1,500,
epic.
this will spank
No, that was
OEMs and keep their prices and greed in
that
check,
was
which is
epic.
good for PC gamers. I think that's an interesting angle.
But it's weird. My new theory is video games really are. They're good groomers for just making you like those soulless Anglo-Saxon businessmen.
Position their device.
No, that to be successful at killing at games, you can't care, dude. You just and I'm like, fuck. That's sad that these video games are basically they're grooming you to be emotionless and not care. And then you wonder why they hack and they do because they don't care about the game, dude. To them, it's just
It's about winning.
and period.
Sure, I
mean, they're soulless. They're soulless little fucking Anglos. What? They're Anglo-Saxon Protestants. They have no soul other than what do you call that? What's a cockroach algorithm? It's like one of the most basic. That's what they think most people really are. It's the cockroach algorithm. They made little computers that can basically mimic cockroaches. It's your survival. It's your.
When we talk about the console wars,
But yeah, that's what Anglo-Saxon. They make fun of people who get emotional. They make fun of people. That's the Palpatine. Like, dude, stop.
This road
emotion isn't real. That's just something you've been groomed to believe that. You've been groomed to believe poop is bad.
Are they trying to please?
But anyways,
right? So
it saddens me to play these things. You do to beat them. You literally have to just calm down. I don't care. I'm not upset.
As a PC, that I can fucking
and then it's turning you. It's that Nietzsche argument. So to beat it, you literally have to become a soulless machine.
Basically, whatever I want on there.
And that's the ring. Carrying the ring is turning you into Sauron, bro. That's why Gandalf won't pick it up. He won't even touch it.
And it's another closed system of where it runs its own unique
to even engage with it, dude, is to become it.
Thing, and they're still like, well,
so
we
anyway,
still do
trippy,
Xbox Play
trippy
Anywhere, and so you can play these games on PC, but you can't play them on an Xbox. Like that.
Or it could just be some hacker.
Right? They're getting nowhere with that right now.
I would rather that'd be more comfortable.
That's why the giant eagles didn't fly the ring.
Huh.
Because they're not just like big soulless eagles, they're actually like super powerful creatures.
So the ring, is that the excuse why they showed up at the end? Because they couldn't?
Because in the hierarchy of creatures, so Gandalf is one of the Maiar, which is like the angels.
Yeah.
And the eagles are right below it.
And so if Gandalf couldn't fuck with the ring, then yeah, the Eagles. So that's why they didn't just fly him to Mordor. Yeah.
While still maintaining a level of openness.
Oh, hey, look up Branson, Missouri, and Eagles. Do you have your phone on you? Go. Yeah, look up Branson, Missouri, and Eagles.
Around like what used to be Xbox Live Gold. And how that was
now I don't know if it was a new post or like it just got reposted. No, but check it out.
In price, and now they're trying to find ways to, maybe.
Oh, who are these guys?
Hey, what if you signed up for a lower tier of Game Pass, but still
I need those
games
guys.
when we put them out, or like whatever the calculus is there.
Just dinged my car, bro.
That stuff's getting muddy, right? In a way that I don't think that a closed platform is.
Does it show them all?
I don't think it moves.
Nobody knows what happened. I don't know.
And it was more powerful than a PlayStation 6. I think people would still go.
They're all on the bridge. Is that the one?
But I think Sony still.
No, I'm just seeing AI generated images. I can't actually find any that are.
Oh, here. Let me try to see if it's on my.
I think that's something that.
Anything that's real.
They would probably still lean PlayStation after the way this generation and the generation before.
No, yeah, good thing. Oh no, it's right here. Look.
Fucks up completely, which they're about due to fuck up real bad, right? I mean, with the way
that's what's broken about the internet, that you can't look that up that easy.
So I think that like as a bullet point,
that the AI doesn't know. Hey, a bunch of fucking eagles.
An open machine.
That many eagles.
Yeah, all I can find is this photo.
Could run
This AI generated product. That's all I can
weird
find.
emulators
So
I
no
want to
news
install on it
clips,
rather than having to
no
go and
on
go
the
like, I'm gonna
news,
enable
no
dev
meme, no.
mode
Dude,
on
it's
my Xbox
broken,
and
bro.
go find this weird
It
build of
is
this thing and install it.
broken,
And this,
Joseph.
you know, if it was just like, yo,
They're
man, this is
putting
a
you in the
fucking Windows
pod,
machine. I
dude.
don't know.
That's all
Go
they're
download a thing
putting you
and
in the
install it.
pod, dude.
Yes, awesome.
They're
Let's
gonna
do
put
that.
you in the pod, and the church is gonna get a hold of artificial intelligence,
And so, you know,
and the
I
false
think that
church is
that's
gonna
just a
rise, and
very
they are
different
just going to
offering
keep these
than the
kids in
traditional
a
console
drug-induced
experience. And then you
sugar,
look at, but again, remember, you know,
fructose,
part of this is
sugar,
what audience are they
and
trying to
drug
please?
haze, dude.
For
Art,
Microsoft,
sound,
the audience in Japan is a
and
lost
you guys
cause.
are just never.
And maybe they get some interest, you know,
You're never
as
gonna
the
get out of the
handheld
Matrix,
PC
dude.
space
They're
takes off in
never gonna
different
get out of the
ways.
Matrix.
You
The
know,
wall's gonna
the
be so
Steam Deck has
fucking
had,
thick.
you know, they launched it in
Your
Japan.
emotion, they're gonna
There was
use your
some interest
emotion
around it
against
there.
you.
I gotta show you
I don't know
something.
how well it's
I was
doing
looking at this, and
numbers-wise
it's
or whatever, but at least
you know what
like
the Nixie tubes are? The old
there was a
school
little bit of
number clocks.
there was
Oh
the
yeah,
cathode
yeah,
tubes.
yeah,
you know,
And I
in
was
that
like, they
form
still
factor
sell
in that
those.
kind of
So I was
business
looking up this
market,
one
right?
that's.
So
I'll read that.
So maybe that
You
ends
can read
up
the whole
being
thing.
the way Microsoft eventually gets people to care about their platform in Japan is to say like, hey, it's a Windows machine, it's a PC, and it's an Xbox. I don't know. But if we think back to what the leaked Sony strategy is, which you know, if that makes sense,
They're based on a little township in Ukraine.
Yeah, yeah.
For like,
they're very local.
for this weird kind of identity crisis, I think a lot of the gaming industry is
Yeah, I don't know how
heading
much of that is
into, if
real.
not
Do
there
you really?
already,
I don't know, dude.
combined with the identity
Do you really think
crisis
that
of
many people
like
have died? And we haven't seen it,
consoles
heard about it?
and how
Nothing?
much do they cost and who wants them.
I mean, have you
and
seen
how
funerals?
many
Have you
people
seen the
want
mass
them, and how
funerals?
much
I
do the
haven't.
games cost to make for those consoles.
And I'm sure there are, dude. I'm
Like all of
not
these
saying
kind of
that,
numbers
but
that are
like,
not adding up the same way
it sure don't
anymore,
seem like a
even as
real
we talk
war.
about
I
the
think they got a
PlayStation
bunch
5
of
as like the
drones over
most,
there. I'm sure people are
revenue
dying in those
driving
armored
in a console
vehicles.
generation. There is
I'm
still
sure
this,
those
like,
drones are killing people.
you know, you see it, you feel it. The industry is weird.
But as far as like a
The
million, they say a million people
old
died.
video game industry in some
I
ways
don't
feels
know.
like it's getting replaced by something
But I
else.
think that's what happens in war, dude. Is
And
like,
so Sony's strategy is, hey, we're going to have a console and it's going to be very powerful.
what? There's a famous
and it's gonna be a
line. I don't know
console.
who said it. There was
Like,
a famous,
okay.
the first
But then
victim
they're
was free.
also, again,
So we don't
if
know
the
what the
leaks are to
fuck's
be
going on. And I know
believed,
there's a war going on. I'm not.
if they also produce
Yeah,
a
I'm not saying
handheld
there's not a war going on, but yeah, I
and
don't know
say,
what
hey,
the
this
fuck's going on
handheld
over
runs
there.
the same games
But I know
as
that's
the
not war
console
either,
does.
dude. They're
It's
like
like
using a
Switch
bunch of
where you have to
remote
buy 2
control.
devices because fuck you.
That's not. That's worse than our artillery was bad enough,
You know,
dude.
they don't want to just have
You
the
know,
handheld.
artillery is at least still
I
guys
think that's
shooting
a fair
guns
strategy,
at you.
actually. That is something that I think the Japanese market could resonate with, you know, in terms of like, oh, a handheld, okay, we can get behind that. Will it run
Easy,
Monster Hunter on the
everybody.
train? I don't know.
Yes.
It's a very ancient way to think about it, I suppose. But again, you know, Sony has interests like that in that part of the world that I think Microsoft is a little free and clear of because they have failed so miserably at attracting the Japanese market up to this point. That I think it's sensible for them to say, oh, dude, what if this thing was a computer? Like, all our games are coming to
How
computer
much money
anyway.
did I earn for
The
that?
only problem you run out on there is like
Well,
this idea of some of that
$3,400
revenue, but they've already converted it, right? It used to be like, oh, they'll never get rid of Xbox Live Gold because it makes so much money for them, so they could never just ditch it all for a PC.
Really, you're gonna be
Well,
super
now they,
duper nice now?
now they've migrated that over to Game Pass.
I know you. I know. I love
And
you. I
the
know what
final
you're doing.
migration
Don't
of
gaslight
that
me.
is, by the way, there's really no more
I love
console
you.
Game Pass
Maybe I'm
because
just
all these things are PCs
overcompensating to
anyway.
make sure I'm not.
So, you know, there's no separate PC Game Pass anymore. There's just
Either
Game
too
Pass
nice
because
or I'm
everything that's
being
coming
mean.
I
out
love
now
you. I'm
runs on
telling
all
you,
of
I
these
love
machines.
you.
Okay,
And that's how they
all.
kind of
That's all
unify
you
it
have to say.
Tommy, thank you. I'm telling you, I
and
feel
present
guilty.
it as
That's all. A
that
little
sort
bit
of
guilty for
unified
being
platform.
grumpy.
Even if the platform is open, they still theoretically get that Game Pass revenue. Now, of course, they have raised the prices on Game Pass to a point where it's crazy.
Yeah, one, we got to go out there.
And I don't know that that's worth it
We'll
anymore.
just put
and
all
what
this
have you,
stuff
and,
in there. It's
you
all
know,
being
like
torn apart will probably help them. We need to make sure. You might
and
drain
honestly,
it.
like I think when you end up in this
just to have some
system
in there,
and
then yeah, we'll
you know,
drive.
even if they were to get to a point where like
That's what
PC
they're
Game
gonna
Pass
do,
does
Tom.
exist
That's
today,
what
but if they
they're
get to a
gonna
point
do.
where they
Say
eliminate
their
it because
specific
all of it
time
is
they
PC
want.
Game Pass because there's
There's
no such
certain
thing
time they want
as
us to have it down
console
there.
Game Pass anymore.
And if they
they ask you, you could tell them after lunch, probably. Does that work best, Mom?
you still have to compete
'Cause
against
that's
Steam,
only not that
and
far
they can,
away.
you know, make it a little challenging for people to
So, yeah,
install
just
Steam
tell
on
them it's
such a
after
device if
lunch.
they wanted
Good.
to. But like at the end of the
Yeah.
day, they're entering
How's
a
that sound?
crazier, more competitive, weirder
And then I
landscape
think it should make it down there, hopefully.
than the one that they've
only
been
like less
in,
than
competing with Sony and
So
Nintendo,
it should
right?
hopefully make it down.
Because now all these storefronts would run on the same device theoretically. That
And either way, yeah,
you can boot into the
they
Microsoft
can
Store
confirm
and you'll
it's dead
have
or
the players
whatever happens,
who are used
or if it
to
can be fixed. We got to find out. You're right. We need to find out.
that experience, that consoleized experience. Maybe they'll never explore. Maybe
One
they'll never
way
install
or
Steam.
the
They'll never know anything
other.
about it.
But yeah,
They'll
give
never
them a
care.
call, and then we need to do the dishes. How
And
do
so
you have
maybe that's
school
the
this
play.
week or not?
It all just seems
Yeah.
like a different type of risk. I was going to say it seems
Schoolwork?
risky, but like I think you know, like staying and doing what they've been doing, I don't think will work for them anymore. So they've got to do something. I think that this makes a lot of
Did you do
sense.
that? Did you read that message from Allison on my phone?
And at the end of the day,
I don't think
they
so.
will still put their games on every
Did
platform.
you meet with her?
And
No,
even
but
if
it was
Xbox as a
after-
platform
and then
doesn't
that's
work out,
what
it's
Oh
not
yeah,
like
because you
PC
said it came
gaming is
yesterday.
going to
Something open
vanish.
yet.
Yeah, it came.
Like you
And
messaged
it's not
her
like
back.
Microsoft
Yeah.
will never ever run a game
She
store
was
ever
having a
again. You know,
meeting
like
at 12,
So then,
and then she was
so
like, you know, if you
the
can't
stakes
make
for
it, no big
failure
deal.
are,
Just let
I
me
guess
know
we
if you
just
need
continue
to.
to publish
yeah.
And so I messaged
multiple
her back.
massive
Good with yours,
franchises
Yeah,
like
and was
Elder
just like,
Scrolls and
sorry, this
Fallout
just
and
came
Call of
through.
Duty and Minecraft.
Mom and the kids were out anyways.
And if that ends up being their business because the hardware end of it just didn't work out for them,
Yeah,
they
baby
will
girls
still run Windows, which still
Bubs
runs
has
games, which still run, you know, like,
part of
so I,
his.
you know,
He's caught up till like next week in his other
this
two
makes sense
classes,
for them
pretty much.
as
He's
kind of
got
their
one
next shot
thing for
in
composition. He was
that
waiting on
stuff,
the last, see
and
if
I
the
think
last peer
Sony, like
review came
the
in.
again the
And so then
supposed leak
he's gonna
strategy,
do
which who
his
knows, maybe this
draft,
is all
second
wrong, right?
draft
Maybe we're
today and turning it in.
just stacking
Which
up
isn't due
bullshit
till
on top of
tomorrow,
bullshit
but
here,
we're trying to
speculating, but.
yeah. So and then, but then
But I
other
do
than
think
that,
that the
like they
Sony
don't have to do
idea
bell
of
ringers
making
or
a console
anything.
and a
Like
handheld
they're
makes
all
sense
soft.
for a company that has done well with this console generation and wants to
that
have
sandwich was pretty
devices
good.
that,
Mine came out good too.
you know,
That's
like
what
like
Bub
a
said. She
multitude
was
of
like, I
devices
used
that can
mine
kind of
morning.
sell in Japan
She's like,
and edge a little bit
Bub.
closer to what
it's the
Nintendo's
love
been
in my
doing.
sandwich. That's why you're
And then, you know, we'll get a few years down the line and see what
Yeah, I
Nintendo does
know.
next,
It's a
because I
real
think
thing,
they
though.
have to find
I've
something
watched
brand new
Yep.
all over again.
It's about these.
It is. They come
It
through.
shows through in your act.
A
It
lot of
comes
this
through
talk
in
has
your
led to release
No, they
date
tell me that.
talk as well,
They'll be like,
and
yeah, you seem really
2027
right.
is starting to sort of
I
firm
don't
up
trust
as,
yellow orange juice.
you know, the rumored release date for all of these devices.
I don't trust yellow orange juice.
No.
Yeah, but go ahead, call them.
So
Get
that
out
would
of the way.
be new consoles in
They
2
should be
years.
open, yeah.
Yeah.
Take it fine like that.
Yeah, 8 or
They-
9.
And that would be
Like
new
7.
consoles, what is
I
that,
would
7 years after the release
No.
of the
Like,
previous
they'll be,
generation,
like,
which I
12
think
hours.
that's a cycle. 7 years is, it's not 10, but 7 plus they probably support these existing boxes for some number, or at least Sony does, for some number of years. Yeah, that's about the same as it was last time. So that would make a ton of sense. They have to, you know, they had to make a bunch of decisions about hardware and
Get
what
back
is
to
the
the
right
Katamari
hardware
part?
to come out and
The rolling ball.
what is the right hardware for the right price. And some of these decisions they made probably a while ago now, and now they're finding themselves into this new era of bullshit tariffs and all this other horse shit that is going to impact their pricing and availability
probably
and
do
AI
is
and
just
you know,
put
all this other garbage
water in
that has kind of been
with
thrown in their way.
stabilizer.
I think will, you know,
Oh, do you?
it will
Because
impact
I
us
was
for
trying
years
to
to
think
come.
how to do it. Yeah. Are
I
you
think
just
even if
putting
you
the fish
dropped,
in the
if every
bucket?
tariff went away
Putting
tomorrow,
stabilizer and
I
water
think it
in
would
there.
still,
Let's
there's
go
been
around,
enough of
and
Yeah.
we'll
a
clean
drag
this
on
out.
That's
things
okay.
And then
now that
when
I
we
think
go
That's
even
what
with
I was thinking. And then
2027
just
we
dump
still
it in
sees
there.
some
dump the
shit.
Dump the
water
bucket
in
in.
there. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I didn't know. That's why I haven't done it. I was like, wait.
I
No,
think
he was a
2027
badass
makes a lot
fish.
of sense.
What's
That has
up,
been
Mr.
what
Beta?
some of the speculation has been
What?
for sure.
Hi. What are you doing? Hi.
And
Nice to
I
meet
think that again,
It
just
tells
from
like one thing.
it maybe not make
Okay.
sense for you might not feel like
That
you're
must
done
be
with
why
your
they're
PlayStation
popular.
5.
And I quote, the sooner the better.
Some
in
of you
case
might
we
not
have to
feel
order
like you've
parts.
even
Oh,
gotten off
okay.
the ground
Oh,
with
yeah,
your
you're not
PlayStation
around.
5.
Okay.
But I think that, you know, in terms of when decisions have to be made and when, you know, like how a lot of that stuff just kind of has to go, I think that probably makes a lot of sense for
Yeah, it's
targeted
about
release
halfway.
dates. If you go too much
So I'm
further
staying
past
here
that,
watching
then
the
your
babies
technology
race.
just gets older and older and older because you had these decisions that you had to make
I guess so. I don't know.
3 years
This is
ago
my
about
fault.
architectures and everything else.
That's your
Everyone's
dad.
working with AMD again. They've announced all that
I mean,
publicly.
Colt.
So we'll have a bunch of AMD machines all over again.
And then he's gonna fill it up about halfway.
And we'll see.
Oh yeah.
Meanwhile,
And then we need
more in the here and now as opposed to a couple of years down the
And we
line.
need
Wait,
the little
yeah,
net,
man.
Gilly, so we can pop it out of here.
I think, you know, a lot of what happened, man, it's a couple of things, right? Time got weird. This generation, this last 5 years, you know, so basically since 2020, it's why there's like a whole category of TikTok videos where people are
No, I
making like
wanted
their
you to go.
I
shitty,
did
like
too. I was
bad
like, wait.
animated
Well, we could
horror
just all, yeah,
videos,
we could all go.
and they're like,
That's not that
2019
big of
was
a
the
deal.
last
Yeah,
year.
everyone could jump in the car
You've
and we
been
could go.
shuttled off
Yes.
into another timeline. That's why everything feels so weird and bad.
So the answer to
It's
your
like,
question,
no,
my bad.
there was
is
a
yes.
pandemic and it fucked a
We're
lot
all
of things up, and now time is fucking like the passage of time got weird because now everything is
Yeah, because you got to decide if you're going
everything
to pay
is so
for it or
fucking
not,
strange
right, Mom?
lately, and that's not. I
mean,
didn't
we
fall
bought
out
the
of the
car. It's our
timeline.
car.
Like no, like all this other shit
But
fucking
yeah, we
happened
were going to
in
sell
the
it to you
world,
or let you
and it's
use
still
it.
happening in a lot
So
of
we'll
different
see.
ways and different reasons, right?
So yeah,
So,
but you know, yeah, you
it's
might
funny
be
because
up
I
to
think
you
about
whether
it.
we
Like,
fix
man,
it or not. You may be the one
Sony
fixing
sent the PlayStation 5 out
and that would be.
pre-release, and I had already had an Xbox Series X in the house for a few
You
days.
you buy it from us by
When the
fixing
PS5 showed up,
it, and then you would have a car.
and God, dude, my daughter
And
had
it's probably
been
outside.
born in mid
Probably
2019,
outside
Why?
for the pool.
Oh.
and then she was like a year and a half old or whatever it was by then, and we were
Man,
starting
what did
to
you do with my pants?
work on having a
on my
second one, and then that was a bumpy ride. But like, yeah, that was, that was 2020. It does not feel like that was 5 years ago. It feels like that was maybe 2 years ago in some weird way. But here we are. And yeah, anyway, I think that there's a lot of reasons why time feels weird, and you know, because of everything that has happened outside of the world of
But she
gaming
can't. That's not
for
cool.
the past 5-6 years.
That's not cool.
And so, but in real time, by the numbers, 2027 will in fact be long enough for them to make another console, even if it doesn't feel right.
That is so
And I'm with
frustrating.
you.
Not funny,
Like,
dude.
no, we're backwards to it.
Not funny,
None of this
dude.
feels
Like,
right.
she
2
was
years,
looking,
2
but
years
she
from
ain't
now
never
somehow
gonna
feels
find
like
it. 'Cause
it
it was
will
on
be
the edge of
forever.
the pool.
No, that's
And
why. And then,
5
yeah.
years from
I was worried
ago
sometimes
feels like it just
the
happened.
carpet
Yeah,
thing,
it's
the
a
rug
weird,
flops over on top
and
of it.
it made me feel differently about that. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. The idea that we are now, the idea that it is currently mid-October, that we're here, it's Q4, Black Friday is mere weeks away, and
But
whatever's left of
because
video
you were
games
going to
this
talk
year,
to these guys.
all the big ones still have to ship here pretty soon. You know, like it's weird. It's weird.
Got an overheating problem, but we tried flushing it.
Anyway,
we had oil in the water.
to return to the present here,
but we have not seen oil.
another bit
So
of rumor.
we're looking stuff up, and sometime the oil cooler on those go out. That might explain it, but we just want to know.
People started getting online and claiming
if it
that
has a cracked head
Target
or
and
not,
Walmart
or
were pulling Xbox
if
products
it's
off their shelves.
repairable. Yeah, we just need a.
This was accompanied by
evaluation on
some photos of like.
What was the word we came up with?
Xbox software, you know, the weird
What was
plastic
the word
holders
they
put
call it?
things in at the store, like
Not
those things were being
evaluation.
packed up and rolled out.
Yeah, you just
And
need a
people saying like,
diagnostic.
"Oh, this
tell us
stuff's
where
done."
we're at
Like
with
this
it.
was on the
It's
heels
worth
of the
repairing.
Costco and I guess Sam's Club. I think that those warehouse stores.
No,
did
that's the
actually
sand
pull,
from that's the same stuff that's
Xbox
in
out of the
Sam's.
stores.
Or
Or
you
at
want
least
to
I know
say
Costco did. Sam's Club, I heard it also happened, but I did not look into that one.
Just like rice?
Target and Walmart
Rocks in there. And
would be a crazy. That would be a very
Do we not have
serious
that little
blow
silver
in
strainer
terms of
anymore?
like remaining retail shelf space for a device and all this other stuff. And it's another situation where Microsoft had to like actually come out and comment on a rumor. Windows Central got this quote out of them.
Just keep rinsing
and some of the quotes going around, this is all stuff that got like posted on Reddit, right? It's like people saying, I work for Target and this is happening, and posting pictures. But there's been a lot of stuff here, like I just called my local Walmart to ask if they were discontinuing, and I haven't heard anything. They also have them in stock. Like this stuff kind of started getting refuted.
See how there's scum on the end? Well, yeah, you're just gonna take your finger.
And Microsoft eventually had to give a quote here. They just said, Target and Walmart, among other retailers, remain committed partners for Xbox consoles, accessories, and games. So, you know, again, like, it's not good news for Xbox that, like, it seems like every week now they have to make, like, some kind of uncharacteristic comment to say, like, nope, we're still here. Yes, we are still working on new hardware. Yes, Xbox is still available in Target and Walmart. For what it's worth, I found myself in a Target over the weekend, and they did not have any Series X hardware. They had 2 Series S's. They had quite a bit of Switch 2 and PlayStation 5 stock. But also, like, the shelf space for physical games is something that is going down to where I'm not sure that Target had any physical Xbox games in stock. They had about 16, you know, like, what, 4 rows of 4. Like, it was 16 or 20 different PlayStation 5 games. But they had, like, for software on the Xbox section, they had a bunch of gift cards, including one for Redfall that was, like, still said $69.99 on it. And I was looking at it and going, like, Jesus Christ, what the... what is happening here? I bet if you went to the Xbox storefront that you would not... there's no way Redfall is currently $70 in that storefront. But, you know, like, I do, you know, I don't think it's out of character, I think, for some of these stores, especially for Xbox stuff, because of the way that Game Pass has impacted game sales and whatever else. So I got home, and once I just noticed that, like, oh man, they don't have any Xbox hardware or any Series S hardware here at all. That's kind of crazy. A lot of controllers for both systems, but that was it. And so I came home, and and then I discovered that there was this rumor going around that Target was getting out. I was like, oh my God, did I just like managed to stumble into a Target on the day that this was all supposed to be going down? And I started looking around, and I started trying to figure out, like, okay, what is the most recent Xbox physical game that would be mainstream enough for these stores to carry? And I started looking at all the stores kind of in my area, like, you know, like I'm in Southern California. And I started looking, you know, like 50 miles around me, 100 miles around me, or whatever. And for games that it seems like they should have, but maybe, like, is borderline. Like, I looked up Call of Duty Black Ops 6 because I figured, like, that seems like a game that they would have. It's a year old, but, you know, it's the current Call of Duty. It seems like something that they would have in stock. And I found that, like, none of the stores... Like there was like one store in like a 50-mile radius that had it in stock. Starfield, like similar deal. Indiana Jones, basically nowhere. And then I looked at Madden, and Madden, the Xbox version of this year's John Madden football was in a lot of locations. It took me a long time to think, like, what's a mainstream game that would be physical on Xbox? I was like, and I could only think of first-party stuff for a while. But, like, Madden was in stock in a lot of places. But Starfield and Indy were not at most locations. And so, you know, you could chalk this up. I don't know what you chalk this up to. Reduced shelf space for physical games, I think, is something that we're all heading towards, whether you like it or not. I do think that if you stretch this timeline out another 5-10 years, 10 years, maybe closer to 10 than 5, that I would start to assume that physical games are going to become a little bit more bespoke, boutique in nature. The limited run games of the world will become more the norm for anything that isn't the biggest of the biggest of the biggest.
I have enjoyed serving you, sir. I have enjoyed serving you, sir.
But Madden is the biggest of the biggest of the biggest in a lot of ways, right? So you would think that
I had a bunch of stars and stuff.
that would continue to have continue to earn its shelf space. But would it earn it for Xbox if people aren't buying games on Xbox because they're signing up for Game Pass and people aren't buying Xboxes? And if that ecosystem is like fractured, which it seems to be these days in some ways, then you do start to wonder where that eventually leads. And yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything definitive to say at the end of this, other than I started poking around specifically for software. And though I could find some hardware and things of that nature and accessories, again, controllers all over the place. But when I started looking at targets in my area, and again, Southern California, I started looking in Los Angeles, which, like it or not, Los Angeles is a major metropolitan, whatever. And in the surrounding areas, it was spotty, I would say. Spottier than PlayStation stuff when I started to look in comparison. Like the Xbox stuff seemed not as prevalent